Chapter 1. Bardock looked down at his sleeping son in front of him. After the betrayal by Dodoria earlier, he knew it was only a matter of time before Frisia decided to finish off the Saiyans. He also knew there was not much chance of stopping the evil tyrant. But he still had to try. "Where's Kakarot being sent to?" Bardock asked the attendant as he lifted the infant Saiyan from his crib to start his journey. "Some planet called Earth," the Saiyan attendant said. "It's pretty much a planet of weaklings. Shouldn't be a problem even for an infant Saiyan. I haven't put him through the programming yet, but that's his next stop." "Do me a favor," Bardock said. "Forget the programming. Just put this in the pod with him." Bardock handed the man a box. "What's this?" the man asked. "Just some items he might find useful on his mission," Bardock said. "There's a scouter in there as well as some training material. I've also included a message to explain to him what he needs to do." "Isn't that what the programming is for?" the attendant asked. "Yes," Bardock responded, "but it always seems to turn them into mindless drones. I want my son to be a warrior, not a mindless drone." "Whatever you say, Bardock," the attendant said as he placed the box and the infant into the pod. "Goodbye, my son," Bardock whispered as the pod took off headed for the planet Earth. "Deep easy." Gohan looked up as he saw a meteor shooting down from the sky. The old man walked over to the crater that the meteor made only to find that it was not a meteor, but a space pod. He looked inside it to see a naked baby with a brown tail. "That's odd," he thought as he picked up the baby, only to be hit in the face by a tiny fist. "You've got an arm, don't you, little guy?" he said sweetly. Then Gohan looked and noticed the second item that was in the pod. "What have we here?" he said to himself as he picked up the box and brought it and the baby back toward his house. Several minutes later, in the privacy of his own house, Gohan opened the box. First, he pulled out a suit of green-plated armor with a black undersuit and in green scouter. "Wonder what this is for," he thought. "You're a bit young to have your own armor, little guy," he said to the baby. The next thing he pulled out was a tiny little cube. He pushed a small button on it, and a hologram of a man appeared. The man was dressed in armor similar to that in the box and wore a scouter over his right eye. He looked very similar to the baby, except he had several more scars on his face from the numerous battles he must have been through. Must be the kid's father, Gohan thought. A few seconds later, the hologram began to speak. "This message is for my son Kakarot when he's old enough to see it," the Bardock hologram said. "If you're seeing this, then I was unable to stop Frisia, and you are likely the last Saiyan alive. Now, you were sent to this planet to eradicate all life from it, so it could be sold to the highest bidder. We Saiyans have worked as planet brokers/slaves under Frisia for years now. We are a warrior race and get stronger after every battle. That is why Frisia felt the need to destroy us. But you, my son, will someday be strong enough to destroy him. My mission for you, my son, is not to destroy life on this planet, but to protect it as you train to get strong so you can avenge your people. Seek out anyone who is strong on the planet. Often you can learn much from those that may seem like weaklings. Have pride that you're a Saiyan, but don't let it blind you like some of our race have done. Enclosed in here is armor and a scouter for when you're old enough to use them, as well as information about the Saiyan race. Never forget where you came from, my son, and someday I hope you'll show Frisia what a Saiyan is truly made of." 5 years later. Gohan ducked as the young boy in front of him threw another punch at his head. "Not quite strong enough to hit me yet, Kakarot," he told the boy as he sent a punch at the boy. Kakarot deftly dodged the attack and countered with a roundhouse kick. Gohan caught the boy's leg and used Kakarot's own momentum to send the boy flying off into the bushes. Kakarot got up from the bushes and dusted off his white karate uniform. "No fair," the boy said. "It seems no matter what I try, I can never hit you." "You've only been training with me for a few months now," Gohan replied. "You'll improve with time. I've been training my whole life. You can't expect to get results like that overnight." "Mr. Gohan," Kakarot started, "is everyone as strong as you are?" "No," Gohan replied. "Most people aren't even as strong as you are now. I've been studying martial arts for my entire life to gain the amount of strength that I have. Don't be discouraged that you're not winning. It takes time to be the best, but eventually I know that you will surpass me." "How do you know that?" the skeptical child asked. "I guess it's time I told you then," Gohan finally said. "As you already know, I'm not your father. Well, the truth is I found you as a baby in a spaceship and raised you as my own. You are a member of a proud warrior race called Saiyans. Is that why I have a tail and you don't? Kakarot asked, waving the furry brown appendage behind him. Yes, Gohan replied. That is also why you're not allowed out in the full moon. As it turns out, Saiyans have the ability to transform into a giant ape at the full moon. This makes you 10 times stronger than your untransformed state, but is difficult to control. Last time you transformed, I barely managed to knock you out before you did a lot of damage to the surrounding area. Kakarot looked taken aback. This was a lot for a boy to take in at once, Gohan knew. But he could feel that the boy had a destiny to be a great hero someday, and he needed to know about his heritage. Come inside. Your father left a message for you, as well as details on your people and what happened to them. It's time you knew the truth. 7 years later. Kakarot threw another punch at the imaginary opponent as he continued his workout. The boy wore Saiyan-style armor with a black undersuit and green plating, and his brown tail wrapped neatly around his waist. Dinner. Gohan called from the house. Before he had a chance to finish, Kakarot had sped through the door and was inhaling the food at an alarming pace. Ready. Gohan finished. In seconds the food was gone, and the boy looked up at the old man. Will you spar with me this evening? He asked. I suppose I could make time for that, Gohan said. Promise not to hold back this time, Kakarot asked. You know I could never go all out on you, Gohan replied. I could seriously hurt you. But how am I supposed to get strong if you hold back all the time? Kakarot countered. There's more to fighting than being strong, Gohan reminded the young Saiyan. First you have to have good technique. If you're a sloppy fighter, it doesn't matter how strong you are. But I can handle it, Kakarot countered. Gohan had to admit the boy was strong. He was probably twice as strong as the average human and at only 12 years old. You have your scouter, Gohan reminded him. Does it say you're strong enough to fight me at full power? Kakarot hit a button on the side of the scouter and watches as the reading appeared on the device. 80, he said, reading Gohan's power level. Now what's your power level at? Gohan asked. 12, Kakarot answered without even consulting the scouter. He knew about how strong he was at all times, a side effect to constantly measuring his power level. That's why I can't go all out on you without holding back, Gohan replied to the earlier question. You wouldn't stand a chance, and it wouldn't be fair. And you wouldn't gain much from being knocked unconscious. Kakarot scowled, but he knew it was true. I could transform, he said, brightening up. Now you know that isn't a solution, Gohan said, frowning at the boy. You don't have the control to fight in that form, and what you gain in power is lost in control. Kakarot sighed. He knew that his adopted grandfather was right. He always seemed to be right. It was very frustrating being young. He just couldn't wait to avenge his people. But he knew he needed to learn all he could and get as strong as he could before he'd even have a chance against a monster like that. The message from his father had included Bardock's last known power level, and it was 10,000. A power level of 10,000, and his father had feared that Frieza could wipe out him and his whole people without much effort. Kakarot knew if he were ever to avenge his people, he'd need to be much stronger than he was and much stronger than his current teacher. Let's spar already, he said, getting up from the table. Gohan wiped his mouth, having finished his meal at a much slower rate than his adopted grandson. All right, he said, getting up. The two stood outside only minutes later, Gohan in an old martial arts uniform and Kakarot in his armor. Kakarot lunged forward first, throwing a fist at his grandpa's face. The old man quickly backflipped out of the way and came up with a kick aimed at the Saiyan's face. Kakarot knew that he didn't have a chance of dodging the kick at the speed Gohan had moved, so he crossed his arms in front of his chest, absorbing the blow in his arms, and then sweeping his leg out to try and take out the foot that Gohan still had planted on the ground. Gohan leapt above the kick and sent a fist flying at the boy's head. Kakarot deftly redirected the attack with a hand using minimal effort. Very good, Gohan said. You are learning well. Gohan was interrupted by a fist heading toward his face as the boy counterattacked. The boy was good, that much was true. Gohan was amazed how quickly he had improved over the last few years. The two fighters looked up as they heard a noise in the distance. A blue car stopped and a girl with blue hair and a pink dress that said Bulma got out. If my bleeper is right, the Dragon Ball should be around here close. What are you doing here? Kakarot asked. I'm looking for a Dragon Ball, Bulma answered honestly. What's a Dragon Ball? Kakarot asked. They look like this, Bulma said, pulling one out. The ball she held was orange and had 3 red stars in the middle. This is the 3-star ball. If you collect all 7, you can summon the dragon, and he'll grant you any one wish. Have you seen any more around? Gohan looked at the balls with interest. I have one with 4 stars inside that I found a few years ago, the old man admitted. Can I have it? Bulma asked. I'm Bulma, by the way. What are you going to use the wish for? Gohan asked. I want a wish for the perfect boyfriend, Bulma replied. Sounds a bit selfish but harmless, Gohan thought. All right, I'll give it to you. What are you doing? Bulma asked, the curiosity getting the better of her finally. Sparing, Kakarot said. You're a fighter, Bulma said. That is so cool. You must be strong. Would 2 big, strong men like you like to come help me find the remaining Dragon Balls? Why would I want to do that? What else do you have to do? Bulma said. Train, Kakarot replied, turning back to his grandpa. Now don't be rude, Gohan said. This young lady out there by herself could end up in a world of trouble. You should go with her and make sure that no harm comes to her. But Grandpa, Kakarot started. I have training to do. Kakarot, Gohan said. What good is strength if you don't use it to help those that are weaker than yourself? Besides, the experience will be good for you. You can't spend the rest of your life in the woods training with me. Let's get started, Bulma said, getting back into the car and motioning for Kakarot to get in too. And with that, the two drove into the distance looking for the next Dragon Ball and starting the adventure for a lifetime. Power levels. Bardock, 10,000. Kakarot, age 5-3. Age 12, 12. Gohan, 80. Chapter 2. Why are we stopping? Kakarot asked as Bulma pulled the car over. I need to make a pit stop if you must know, she screamed, turning red in the face. All right, Kakarot said calmly. You didn't have to get that worked up. If you've got to pee, you've got to pee. I could use a stretch anyway. Traveling in this infernal machine is kinda cramped. With that said, the young Saiyan opened the door and got out and started doing some simple stretches while Bulma went to the bushes to relieve herself. Kakarot, Bulma suddenly screamed. Geez, she screams a lot, Kakarot thought, covering his sensitive Saiyan ears. What is it? He replied. After several seconds of not getting a response, Kakarot wandered into the bushes where Bulma had been relieving herself, only to see in the grip of a giant blue pterodactyl. Let her go, Kakarot said calmly. And why would I want to do that? The pterodactyl asked. Oh, I don't know, Kakarot replied. Maybe because you want to live. Funny kid. The pterodactyl started but was interrupted as it received a foot to the forehead courtesy of the young Saiyan. Kakarot didn't stop there but quickly pummeled the beast with several punches and kicks before grabbing the pterodactyl's horn and snapping the beast's neck. Looks like we'll stop for dinner too, Kakarot said as he dragged the pterodactyl into a clearing. You mean you're going to eat that thing? Bulma said. Yes, it's food, Kakarot replied, and I am hungry. Do you want me to save you some? No, that's all right, Bulma said. I have some food in a capsule, but I suppose we could stop for the night. Fine by me, Kakarot said as he started to build a small fire and cook the pterodactyl. Bulma awoke the next morning and looked out the window to see Kakarot already up and doing backflips and punching and kicking the air. Wow, that kid really is amazing, she thought as she walked into the bathroom to start doing her hair. Outside, Kakarot continued his exercise, consisting of practicing the turtle combat style that Gohan had taught him and implementing some of the Saiyan style his father had included in the supplemental material in his space pod. In the years since he'd been old enough to remember, he'd managed to master most of the basic moves of the Saiyan fighting style, as well becoming fluent in the Saiyan language. Several minutes later, the young Saiyan decided to halt his exercise to concentrate on something a little bit more difficult. He looked at the material his father had left for him, particularly at the part about bringing out his energy. He'd been practicing this for some years, now even though Gohan had told him that he had to crawl before he could walk. He knew that he could do it if he just set his mind to it. He knew that most Saiyan warrior knew how to bring out their energy for various attacks. Gohan had also mentioned energy techniques, but had refused to teach him any of them until he was ready. Kakarot knew that he needed to learn this skill if he was going to be any kind of warrior. Up to this point, he'd gotten close to bringing out his energy, but hadn't yet succeeded. Closing his eyes, the young Scion scrunched his face in concentration as he focused on clearing his mind to try to bring out his energy. Several minutes later, a small white light appeared in the boy's hands, and the boy grinned as he continued to hold the energy. "That's a neat trick," a voice said from behind him, causing the boy to drop his concentration and lose his hold on his energy. "And you are?" Kakarot said, turning around, taking a fighting stance, only to find himself facing a turtle of all things. "I'm a lost turtle," the turtle replied. "I go by Turtle. I got in a foot race with a hare and have managed to lose my way. I could use a ride back to the sea. And I could use some peace and quiet to train," Kakarot said, turning his back. "You're lucky I already ate breakfast, or you'd be breakfast." "I can help you train," Turtle said, changing his strategy. Obviously, sympathy wasn't going to get him anywhere, so he decided to change tactics. Kakarot hit a button on his scouter, and the device beeped. .001. He laughed, reading the scouter. "You're so pathetically weak, how could you help me train?" "Well, I may not be that strong," Turtle said, "but I do weigh quite a bit. You could get a good workout if you carried me to the sea, and besides, surely my master would reward you if you return me to him." "All right," Kakarot said, intrigued at the idea of getting stronger. "I'll go get Bulma." Kakarot walked in the capsule house that Bulma insisted on sleeping in to see Bulma still doing her hair. "We're leaving." "But I'm not ready yet," the girl replied. "Looking good when you find the Dragon Balls is just as important as finding the Dragon Balls." "You're joking," Kakarot said. "You've been doing your hair for the last 2 hours. If it's not good by now, it never will be." "All right then, fine," Bulma said as she capsuled the house and got in her capsule car. "Aren't you getting in?" "I think I'll run," Kakarot replied. "And we're taking a detour to the sea." "What? We don't have time for that," Bulma said. "Sure we do," Kakarot said, grabbing the bleeper. "There's a Dragon Ball toward where the sea is anyway, and I'd rather run than spend all day riding in that stupid car of yours. Besides, I'm pretty fast anyway." "Oh, all right," Bulma said, knowing that she was likely to need the young Scion if she ran into any of the numerous things that could get her out here in the wild. "Stop," a voice said as Kakarot carried Turtle on his back and Bulma drove in the car behind him. Kakarot turned to see a giant orange bear with a mohawk and dressed in strange samurai armor. The beast also sported a sword as a weapon. "Give me the turtle, and I'll let you live." Kakarot hit the button on his scouter. "6, he laughed. "What makes you think I need to listen to someone as weak as you?" "Weak," the giant replied. "You're one to talk, little one." "You'll pay for that one," Kakarot said, taking a fighting stance. "I'm sure," the giant said, drawing his sword and swinging it at Kakarot. The young Scion leaned his head slightly to the right, causing the blade to miss by mere inches. "Enough of this game," Kakarot said as he launched off his right foot and landed a fist in the giant's stomach, causing him to double over in pain. The boy followed with a knee to the chin, toppling the beast and leaving him unconscious. Kakarot picked Turtle back up and continued toward the sea. "Let's get moving," he said as he turned to Bulma. Sometime later, the three arrived at the ocean. "Thank you so much," Turtle said. "If you'll wait here, I'll go get my master, and he will surely reward you." "Fine," Kakarot said. "Don't take too long." With that, the boy got into a cross-legged sitting position and started to focus on bringing out his energy once again. "What, you're just going to sit there?" Bulma said. "I'm concentrating, if you haven't noticed," Kakarot said, with his eyes still closed and forming energy in his hands much easier than before and holding it. "Wow," Bulma said. "How do you do that?" "It's energy manipulation," Kakarot replied. "It's not too hard of a trick," Kakarot continued, lying slightly. In fact, it had taken him the last several years to master the technique. He'd been practicing it since he'd first read about it in the material his father left. Most Scions learn it when they are fairly young. I should have it mastered fairly shortly, then I can work on making it useful. "And how do you make balls of light in your hands useful?" Bulma said, skeptically, wondering what a Scion was if they could make balls of light appear in their hands. "Well, you can use it to attack your opponent in a fight," Kakarot said. "Or you can push it under you to fly." "Fly," Bulma said. "That's impossible." "No," Kakarot said. "Most beings in the universe can do it. Just not on this primitive planet." "Oh really, then you do it," Bulma said, laughing. Fine then, Kakarot said, letting go of the energy he'd formed. He began focusing on pushing his energy below him, hoping he'd be able to do it on the first try, otherwise he was going to look rather foolish. Fortunately for him, it worked, and the boy started floating above the ground, though with much effort, which showed on the Saiyan's face. After a few minutes, the boy floated to the ground with sweat forming on his brow. You okay? Bulma asked. Of course I am, Kakarot said, not letting his pride admit that flying was much harder than it looked. That was a pretty good trick, an old man said, coming up on Turtle and getting off on the shore. It was nothing really, Kakarot said. Who are you anyway? I am Master Roshi, the turtle hermit, the old man said. As far as I know, only Master Shun's students learn that, Roshi thought. How do you learn that trick anyway? Let's just say I'm a quick learner, Kakarot said. No kidding, Roshi said. It took me nearly 70 years just to learn energy manipulation, and another 10 to learn to do anything with it. Yes, Kakarot replied. Well, many people on this planet are weak. Weak, Roshi said. I happen to be one of the greatest martial arts masters of all time. Really, Kakarot said. Is that so? He hit the scouter. 126, he read, but said nothing. He really is pretty strong, at least compared to those on this planet. He's even stronger than Gohan. Well, Kakarot started. Then how about a spar for my reward then? I'll probably get beat pretty badly, he thought, but it'll make me stronger being a Saiyan and all. Wait, Bulma said, seeing the Dragon Ball hanging around Rashi's neck. Can I have that Dragon Ball? What, this old thing? Rashi said. Sure. He tossed the Dragon Ball to Bulma. Turning to Kakarot, he took a more serious tone. Sure, I'll give you a spar, kid. I'll even go easy on you. Don't hold back, Kakarot said. Gohan always holds back on me too. I need a real challenge. You know Gohan? Rashi said. Yes, Kakarot said. He practically raised me while I was too weak to take care of myself. So you're the Saiyan baby he found, Rashi said. How do you know that, old man? Kakarot said, taking a fighting stance. No one really knew about his heritage, and he didn't want it becoming common knowledge. Gohan told me, of course, Rashi replied. I was his master after all. We still keep in touch from time to time. Wait, what's a Saiyan? Bulma asked. She'd heard Kakarot mention them in front of her a few times, although she knew he tried not to. Kakarot paused. He figured he might as well tell her. Over the past few days, they'd actually become quick friends. Well, a Saiyan is a warrior race from the planet Vegeta. Are you one of these Saiyans? She asked. Yes, Kakarot replied. Unfortunately, I'm the last of the Saiyans. You see, an evil tyrant by the name of Frieza destroyed my people when I was very young. My father sent me away as a baby and went to try to stop Frieza. Since I haven't heard from him, he didn't succeed. Oh, that's awful, Bulma said, engulfing Kakarot in a hug. You poor thing. Kakarot had to admit he liked the comfort Bulma brought. He wondered briefly what his father would think if he were here, seeing him show such weakness. He quickly pulled away and hid his emotions. Let's cut the small talk then and get on with our spar, Kakarot said, turning to Rashi and taking a fighting stance. All right, Rashi said, taking his own stance. With that, Kakarot charged at the martial arts master and started throwing kicks and punches with everything he had, but the old man managed to block and dodge them all with ease. Rashi threw a punch at Kakarot almost faster than the boy could follow and much faster than the boy could dodge. The blow connected with the Saiyan's face and sent him flying back to the ground. I think you've had enough, Rashi said. Kakarot got to his feet and wiped a trickle of blood from his mouth. It'll take more than that to beat me, he said as he once again charged at the old man, throwing kicks and punches like wild, thrilled that he was getting a challenge. Gohan never would have hit him that hard, always worry about hurting him. Once again, Rashi blocked and dodged all the blows with practiced ease. The turtle hermit hit Kakarot with an uppercut, sending the boy flying into the air, quickly jumped into the air, and brought a double-fisted hammer blow down on Kakarot's back, sending him into the ground hard. Kakarot got up off the ground, holding his now injured arm. I'm not done yet. Yes, you are, Rashi said. You don't stand a chance in this fight, but you do show potential. If you want, I'll take you on as a student and help you become a better fighter. You're on, Kakarot said, excited about the prospect of an even stronger teacher than his grandpa. I'll return to train with you as soon as we're done with collecting the Dragon Balls. Chapter 3. The next Dragon Ball should be right up here, Bulma said looking at the radar. Probably in that village up ahead, Kakarot said. Let's check it out, Bulma said. A few minutes later the two were walking through the village. Looks deserted, Bulma commented. Kakarot hit his scouter. There's several power levels in the houses, he said. But apparently they're all hiding. That's strange, Bulma commented. Why would they all be hiding? I don't know, Kakarot said. But I'm going to find out. Kakarot walked up to the door of one of the houses and knocked. After a few seconds of no answer, he yelled, I know you're in there. Open up. After a few more seconds of no answer, Kakarot sent his fist through the door and kicked the door open. Suddenly an axe came down at Kakarot's head. In an instant the Saiyan's hand shot and caught the handle. What were you planning on doing with that? Kakarot growled between clenched teeth. I thought you were Oolong, the old man on the other end of the axe said. Who's Oolong? Bulma asked. The monster that keeps taking our daughters, the man said. He's horrible. He can take any form. He usually comes in the form of a giant of some kind. He comes and destroys part of our town and then takes our daughters. Now he has his sights on my daughter. So when I thought you were Oolong, I wanted to protect her. You're lucky you missed, or I might have had to hurt you, Kakarot said. What brings you here anyway? The man asked, deciding it was a good time to change the subject. We're looking for a ball like this one, Bulma answered, pulling out one of the Dragon Balls. That's odd, the man said. I've never seen anything like it. It's a ball, but it's got stars in it. I've seen it, an old woman said, pulling out another Dragon Ball. Bulma's eyes lit up. Can we have it? It's been in my family for generations, the woman replied. What if we defeat Oolong and get your daughters back? Bulma asked. Sure, if you manage that you can have it, the woman said. Okay, here's the plan, Bulma said to Kakarot. We'll put you in a dress and then let Oolong take you back to where he's hiding the girls, then you can beat him and we'll get the girls back. No, Kakarot said. It's the only way, Bulma said. No, it's not, Kakarot said. How about I just beat him and make him tell us where the girls are? Fine. Bulma pouted at having her plan rejected. Where's my lovely bride? Oolong said as he smashed his way into town. I'm your date today, Kakarot said, stepping out into the street to face the 20-foot-tall red giant with a pig snout. You? Oolong replied. Sorry kid, you're not my type. I'm not giving you a choice, Kakarot replied. I'm here to end your reign or terror. You beat me. Oolong laughed. You must be joking. You're nothing but a runt. Kakarot hit the button on his scouter and grinned. Only a power level of 4, he thought. This will be easier than I thought. Without hesitation, Kakarot leaped into the air and sent a kick at the giant's face. Oolong sent a fist at the tiny warrior, but was too slow, and Kakarot's foot landed right between his eyes, knocking him to the ground and out cold. An instant later, in a puff of smoke, the giant that was Oolong turned into a short little pig in army fatigues. Why did he shrink? Bulma asked from where she was watching. Oolong has the ability to transform, one of the villagers said. This must be his true form. Kinda small, isn't he? Bulma said, laughing. Typical for such a weakling, Kakarot said, walking back into the hut. A few hours later, Oolong awoke. Where am I? He asked, confused. And why am I tied up? Because you're weak, Kakarot said, answering both questions at once. Now you're going to tell me where those girls are. Why would I do that? Oolong asked. Because I'm assuming you want to live, Kakarot replied with menace in his voice. While he had no intention of killing the pig, he could let him think he did. Oolong swallowed hard. Good point. But why are you helping these people? Don't get me wrong, but you don't seem like the hero type. There's a reward if you must know, Kakarot said, irritated. We're collecting some Dragon Balls, and they have one. Rather than having to kill them for it, I just had to beat you. Can I come with you? Oolong asked. No, Kakarot said. Wait, Kakarot, Bulma interjected. He might be useful with his ability to change like that. And if he gets out of line, you can always knock him out. Fine, Kakarot said, walking away. Somehow he still couldn't say no to the girl, and it was getting frustrating. Later that night, the three companions had stopped for the night and sat around a small little campfire. We only need 2 more Dragon Balls, Bulma said excitedly. You have an amazing grasp of the obvious, Kakarot said, sitting off to the side a bit with his eyes closed in a meditative position. The young Scion had a look of concentration on his face. What's he doing anyway? Oolong asked Bulma. Beats me, Bulma said. He's been either sitting like that or working out since I met him. It seems like all he does. When we're not busy, that is. If you must know, I'm meditating, Kakarot said with his eyes still closed. What for? Oolong asked. I need to learn to control my energy like a true Scion, Kakarot replied as he started to float a few inches off the ground. That's a neat trick, Oolong said, looking to Bulma. It's not a trick, Kakarot said. I'm holding myself up with my energy. I've been practicing it for the last few days. I figure at this rate, I'll be flying within the next couple of days. Flying? Oolong asked. That's impossible, though. Only for the weaklings on this planet, Kakarot said. I'm a Scion warrior, and all Scion warriors can fly. What's a Scion warrior? Oolong whispered to Bulma. I can't tell you, Bulma replied. It's up to him if he decides to trust you. He kinda has trust issues as it is. I don't want to make him mad at me by telling his secret. Kakarot just rolled his eyes and continued meditating. Did they really think he couldn't hear their conversation? The next day, Kakarot, Bulma, and Oolong continued their journey. The three travelers were in one of Bulma's boats, traveling down a river. We're really making good time using this river, Bulma commented. Where are we going anyway? Oolong asked. Well, Bulma replied. The next Dragon Ball is just on the other side of the Diablo Desert. It shouldn't be too much farther. The Diablo Desert, Oolong said, but Yamcha lives there. Who's Yamcha? Bulma asked. He rules the Diablo Desert, Oolong replies. He's a master of martial arts. It's said he'll rob and kill anyone who comes in his territory. His Wolf Fang Fist technique is said to be invincible. Sounds like finally a decent challenge. Kakarot spoke for the first time in hours. The young Scion had been meditating most of the trip, but apparently, he could still pay attention to his surroundings. I don't think you understand, Oolong said. He's a monster. I'm getting out of here. In an instant, the pig transformed into a fish and made to jump overboard. Before he hit water, he was caught by Kakarot's hand. You're not going anywhere. But Yamcha will kill us, Oolong pleaded. Don't worry, Oolong, Bulma said. Kakarot is really strong. He can protect us. He did knock you out without even trying after all. Just how strong are you, kid? Oolong asked. My power level is 16, Kakarot replied. What's that mean? Bulma asked. Kakarot hit his scouter. Well, you're only at 2 and the pig is only at 4. Does that clarify anything? I think I've got an idea now, Bulma said. Suddenly the motor on the boat quit. We're out of gas, Bulma said, worried. Oolong, can you turn into some gas to get us to shore? Can't. I get used up, Oolong said. I've got it, Kakarot said, jumping into the water. A few seconds later, the boat began to move forward once again as the young Scion swam behind it, pushing it down the river. Just head to the shore, Bulma said. Minutes later, the three got out of the boat on dry land. Oh no, Bulma said, giving herself a pat down. My Dynacaps. Guess we'll walk, Kakarot said. That's easy for you to say, Bulma yelled, hysterical. You're used to the outdoors. What other choice do we have? Kakarot said. Besides, it might be good for you. The sun shone down brightly in the depths of the desert as Kakarot, Bulma, and Oolong walked endlessly. I can't go on, Bulma panted. I'm not meant to walk in the desert. Kakarot just rolled his eyes. Let's take a break then. He didn't really care about how good of time they made through the desert. He'd used the time when the girl needed to rest to train anyway. Bulma walked over to the shade of a rock and laid down to sleep. I'm going to go find some food, Kakarot said. Before he moved 2 steps, though, he spotted a dust cloud in the distance. What's that? Oolong asked, quaking with fear. I'm not sure, Kakarot replied. In minutes, the figure that caused the dust cloud developed into a man on a hover scooter. The figure drew closer before finally coming to a stop in front of Kakarot and Oolong. The man stepped down off the scooter. He was dressed in green pants and an orange shirt and carried a sword sheathed at his side. Atop his shoulder sat a small cat-like creature. Give me your money and any Dynacaps and I'll let you live, the man said. Who are you to order me around, weakling? Kakarot replied. I am Yamcha, ruler of this entire area, Yamcha replied. Hey, the small cat said, interrupting. That's Oolong. He was in my shape-shifting class. He was always a big bully. Well, poor, Yamcha said with a grin. It appears the tables have turned. I wouldn't say that, Oolong said with a smug look. My boy Kakarot here will take out both of you. Just like always, Poor said, having someone else fight for him. This is your last chance, Yamcha said. Give me your money and you won't get hurt. No, Kakarot said simply. Your funeral, Yamcha said. I doubt that, Kakarot said, hitting his scouter. You only have a power level of 12, the Saiyan said with a laugh. Weakling. I'll show you weak, Yamcha said, charging at the young Saiyan. In an instant, he had his sword out, swinging the blade at Kakarot. The boy leapt into the air, dodging the blow. An instant later, he landed on the ground and rebounded. He shot back at the desert bandit, planting a foot in his back. Yamcha went flying forward across the ground, but quickly rebounded himself, charging back at Kakarot. The bandit began throwing kicks and punches at the young Saiyan as fast as he could, but Kakarot still managed to dodge or block every one of them. Minutes later, the two separated. Now you're going to get it, Yamcha said, panting. I'll show you my wolf fang fist. Bring it on, Kakarot said, taking a defensive stance. Wolf fang fist, Yamcha yelled as he moved his hands around in a complex motion. The tall warrior began to take the form of a wolf as he charged at Kakarot, throwing punches at lightning speed. Suddenly, he was stopped as Kakarot's fist landed in his stomach with tremendous force. The taller warrior bent down, clutching his stomach, finally falling to the ground. Some attack, Kakarot said, laughing. It might have worked if you were stronger. You'll pay for this, Yamcha said, getting to his feet. I doubt that, Kakarot said. What's going on? Bulma said, sitting up. A girl, Yamcha yelled, jumping back on his scooter and hauling us back to his lair. Guess you showed him, Oolong said to Kakarot. And I was just getting warmed up, Kakarot said, somewhat disappointed. Chapter 4. Kakarot, Bulma, and Oolong sat in Oolong's RV that the pig had just remembered he had. So what do these Dragon Balls do anyway? Oolong asked. Well, if you gather them all up, you get a single wish from the eternal dragon, Bulma said. What are we going to wish for? Oolong asked. You mean what am I going to wish for? Bulma corrected him. I'm going to wish for the perfect boyfriend. What a wasted wish, Kakarot said from the corner. Well, what do you suggest? A true warrior lives by his strength, Kakarot replied. And strength is what matters. Everything else is second. So you want to wish to be stronger? Oolong asked. Are you kidding? Kakarot said. Where's the honor in that? Strength gained through a wish isn't really yours. So what would you wish for? Bulma asked. I don't really need a wish, Kakarot said. I just decided to come along for the ride, hoping to find someone strong to fight. How's that going for you? Oolong said. I have found one old master that is pretty strong, Kakarot replied. I'm going to go train with him when this is over, but I have to finish this first. It's not like you two would stand a chance on your own anyway. How nice of you, Oolong replied. The truth hurts, Kakarot said. Did you hear that? Yamcha asked Poir where they were listening outside the window. If we could get those Dragon Balls, we could wish for anything. What would you wish for? I'd wish to never be nervous around women again, the bandit replied. But how are we going to get the Dragon Balls? Poir asked. Well, we need to lure them out of here, Yamcha said. And what are you planning to do after that? Kakarot asked from behind them. Do you really think me inattentive enough not to notice a few eavesdroppers like you? Yamcha turned, taking a defensive stance. I'm impressed, boy, Yamcha said. You're really on your guard. But you won't win this round. Don't make me laugh, Kakarot said. I was barely warming up last time, and you were getting your ass kicked. We'll see, Yamcha said. I'm going all out this time. Wouldn't want it any other way, Kakarot replied. The bandit pushed off with his left foot and charged at the boy, throwing a flurry of kicks and punches. Kakarot was a step ahead of every one of them, blocking the blows with ease. Is that all you've got? Kakarot asked. I thought you said you were going all out. This is more like a warm-up. Yamcha fumed. How dare this boy make a mockery of him? He continued to throw kicks and punches at the young Saiyan, even more furious than before. Kakarot continued to block the blows, but now with not quite as much ease. Finally, one of the blows connected with the young Scion's face, sending the boy reeling back slightly. But Kakarot quickly recovered and decided to go on the offensive. Kakarot struck out with a hard punch at Yamcha's face, which the bandit managed to dodge by mere inches. Kakarot followed up with a sweeping kick that took the bandit off his feet. Not wasting a single second, the Scion landed a punch to Yamcha's gut, doubling him over. An instant later, Kakarot's knee came up into the bandit's face, sending him stumbling back. Yamcha, poor yelled, seeing the bandit get hit hard. He'd never seen his master lose to anyone, especially not this badly, and it worried him. Kakarot took a moment to strategize. He decided now was as good a time as any to try the new technique he'd been working on. Gathering his energy and concentrating a bit to pull it out, the boy managed to bring a bit of yellow energy into the palm of one of his hands. Kakarot let the ball fly at the down bandit, but it left his hand slower than expected, and Yamcha had plenty of time to roll out of the way before the energy hit him. The energy exploded harmlessly on the ground behind the desert bandit. In the next instant, Yamcha sprang to his feet and charged at Kakarot once again, throwing punches and kicks with previously unseen furiosity. Kakarot blocked most of the blows, but some managed to get through, causing some damage. The boy now regretted using the energy attack like he did. It hadn't managed to do any damage, and it had drained him quite a bit. Kakarot leaned his head to the left, letting one of Yamcha's fists fly by bare inches from his skin. Countering instantly, the boy shot his own fist at Yamcha's exposed stomach. The bandit raised his knee, taking the blow on the appendage rather in his stomach. The two continued to trade blows in a stalemate. Kakarot flipped back, taking a moment to catch his breath and strategize. An instant later, he shot back at the bandit with renewed speed, throwing a left hook at Yamcha's face, but the blow was only a feint. An instant later, Kakarot's knee came around at Yamcha's exposed side. The bandit moved to block, but was seconds late. As Kakarot's knee made contact, pain shot through his body. The Scion capitalized on his advantage and continued to pummel the bandit mercilessly. Seconds later, the bandit was on the ground with Kakarot standing over him. Yamcha looked up at the Scion with bruises covering his face and body from the fight. Kakarot looked down on his defeated opponent. Part of him wanted to finish the fight and prove his superiority, but the rest of him was telling him that he'd already done so. He really had nothing left to prove. The Scion turned his back on the warrior. "Get out of my sight and don't let me catch you here again, or next time will be worse." "Wait," Yamcha said. The bandit still wanted to get a hold of the Dragon Balls, but he knew he wouldn't get away with trying to tail the Scion, and obviously the use of force wouldn't help. "Maybe I could help you and your friends." "And how do you suppose to do that?" Kakarot replied, not turning around. "I could help you train," Yamcha said. "Maybe even show you a few techniques." "Like what?" Kakarot said, now somewhat interested. "I could show you my Wolf Fang fist." "I've already seen that one," Kakarot said, "and I wasn't all that impressed." "Well, I could at least give you someone to spar against along the way. Maybe even keep you on your toes," the bandit said. "Fine," Kakarot said, "but any funny business and you'll regret it." Chapter 5. Kakarot, Bulma, Oolong, and now their two new companions, Yamcha and Puar, continued on their quest to find the Dragon Balls. They were heading toward the dreaded Fire Mountain, where the next Dragon Ball was suspected to be. "What's this Fire Mountain anyway?" Bulma asked. "Well," Oolong replied, "the entire mountain is fire. It's also the home of the dreaded Ox King." "Who's this Ox King?" Kakarot asked, now interested. "Is he very strong?" "He's a killer," Oolong said. "He eats humans for breakfast and is incredibly strong," the pig replied. "Humph," Yamcha snorted. "It's just a legend." "Believe what you want," Oolong said, "but count me out." "Don't be such a coward," Bulma said. "Surely with both Kakarot and Yamcha, we'll be able to handle about anything." Yamcha blushed. While he hadn't freaked out as badly at seeing Bulma again after the first time, he still seemed to blush any time the girl mentioned his name. "We probably ought to stop for the night," Oolong said. "We'll want our great warriors to be well rested if they face off against the Ox King," he added sarcastically. Cho and Mei watched as Emperor Pilaf paced in his throne room. "Why aren't we going after the Dragon Balls?" Cho asked Mei. "Because," Emperor Pilaf interrupted, "we already have one of the Dragon Balls. It is much more efficient if we simply let them gather the other 6, and then trap them when they come to get the one we've already gathered. Genius Emperor. May said, actually approving of one of her master's plans for a change. But why the change in tactics? This isn't like you. Well, there's a formidable warrior collecting the balls. From my spy cams, he seems to always be on alert. I simply figured it'd be easier to trap them on my home turf. An excellent idea, Master, Cho said. Kakarot stood several feet away from the camper, calming himself and concentrating. He stretched his hands out and shot a small energy blast at a nearby rock. The rock was disintegrated by the blast. The young Saiyan concentrated and shot another blast at another nearby rock. After 10 of such blasts, the boy heard a voice behind him. Impressive, Yamcha said. I've only heard of great masters being able to manipulate energy like that. All Saiyan warriors learn to do this at a young age, Kakarot retorted. It's child's play. It still seems difficult for you, Yamcha said. You are panting. I'll manage, Kakarot retorted. I did manage to beat you, weakling. Weakling, huh? Yamcha said. I'm hurt. Care to have a spar to prove how much stronger you are? Sure, Kakarot said. I may be tired from using so much energy, maybe even enough for you to give me a good workout. Then put up then, Yamcha said, taking a fighting stance. In the next instant, Yamcha charged at the young Saiyan, throwing a kick at the boy's head. Kakarot raised an arm and blocked the blow, but not as easily as he should have. Yamcha never let up and sent his other fist in at the boy's stomach. Kakarot moved to block the blow, but was an instant too late. Yamcha's fist landed squarely in Kakarot's stomach, doubling the young Saiyan over. In the next instant, Yamcha's other fist connected hard with the Saiyan's face, sending him flying back into the bushes. Kakarot got up holding his stomach and grinned. This was going to be interesting to say the least. The young Saiyan charged at the bandit and threw a punch of his own at the taller warrior's midsection. Yamcha blocked with his own hand, but wasn't fast enough to block the foot that Kakarot sent at the back of the bandit's knee. Yamcha's leg went out from under him. Kakarot, not wasting a second, brought the same fist that had been blocked seconds before up into Yamcha's chin. Yamcha leaned back from the blow, stumbling slightly. Before he could recover, Kakarot sent a fist into Yamcha's chest, sending the bandit flying back into his own set of bushes. Yamcha got up and grinned, wiping a trickle of blood from his mouth. This was going to be an interesting spar. He'd thought that he'd have the advantage after having seen the boy shoot so many blasts, but it seemed they were dead even. Yamcha grinned, for the first time in years enjoying a fight just for the sake of the fight. It had been too long since he'd found a worthy opponent, let alone one that could easily beat him when at his best. Of course, he hadn't really been looking in recent years. He'd simply been happy to rob the weak. Yamcha was brought out of his musings by Kakarot's foot hitting him in the face from a flying kick. The blow sent the bandit flying back, and an instant later Kakarot was there throwing kicks and punches like crazy. Yamcha blocked most of the blows, but some still got through. He returned blows of his own, some of which Kakarot blocked, and some of which the boy didn't. The two continued to spar in this fashion until both were simply exhausted and covered in bruises. The next day, the group of travelers approached Fire Mountain. The heat is intense, Oolong commented as they neared the mountain that was engulfed in flames. The Dragon Ball is definitely up there, Bulma said, looking at the bleeper. Probably in that castle up there. That's the Ox King's castle, Oolong said. How are we going to get up there through the fire? Yamcha asked. There's no way through those flames. I'm going to look for a path, Kakarot said. Maybe the entire mountain isn't actually on fire. With that, the boy disappeared into the bushes looking for a way through the flames. Who's there? A voice said behind them. Are you trying to steal my gold? The travelers turned to see a man about 7 feet tall and covered in muscle. He wore a hat with horns and carried a giant axe. He was the Ox King. No, Bulma said. We're just passing by. No way into that castle, Kakarot said, coming out of the bushes. He turned to look at the Ox King. I take it you're the Ox King. I knew you're trying to steal my gold, the Ox King. With that, the mountain of a man swung his axe at Kakarot, but the boy jumped out of the way before the weapon could decapitate him. We can take him together, Yamcha said, taking a fighting stance. Back off, Kakarot said, already in his own stance. True Saiyan warriors fight alone. In the next instant, he hit his scouter. 50. He thought reading the number on the scouter. This could get tricky. The Ox King swung his axe at Kakarot once again, and once again the boy jumped out of the way, narrowly avoiding death. Kakarot charged in and landed a kick in Ox King's stomach, but the giant didn't even flinch from the blow. "You won't live long enough to steal my treasure," Ox King ranted as he once again swung his axe at Kakarot. "What are you talking about, you big oaf?" Kakarot asked as he dodged the axe once again. "I don't care about your stupid treasure. I'm just looking for one stupid Dragon Ball, and I think it's up in your castle. I'm sure we can offer payment of some kind if it's yours." While Kakarot didn't really like to back down from a fight, he knew this giant was stronger than him, at least for now, and to put it simply, he wasn't a thief. If the Dragon Ball was this Ox King's possession, it wasn't right to take it without offering some kind of payment. "You mean you're not after my vast treasure?" Ox King asked. "No," Kakarot said. "We're just looking for a small ball with red stars in it. We think it's in your castle." "Well," Ox King said, "there's no way into the castle until the fire is put out. I'll tell you what. If you can find a way to put the fire out, then you can have your Dragon Ball." "Sounds fair enough," Kakarot agreed. "Any ideas?" "The Banshu fan is the only thing that can put out the flames," Ox King said. "It belongs to the great Master Rashi. If you go get it, you can put out the flames. I sent my daughter Chi-Chi to get it, but I fear she's been lost." "I can find this Master Rashi," Kakarot said, tapping his scouter. Sure enough, the old man's power level showed up on the scouter in the direction he'd come from. "Can I ask you one more favor?" Ox King said. "Will you also find my daughter and bring her back safely?" "Sure, no problem," Bulma cut in. "It'd be our pleasure." "All right," Kakarot said, once again taking charge of the situation. "I'll find Master Rashi and get the Banshu fan. Yamcha can go play rescuer for this Chi-Chi while I'm gone." "What about the rest of us?" Oolong asked. "You stay here until I return," Kakarot said. "I'll be able to get there faster if I go alone." With that, the boy took off running in the direction they had come. "Does he have a jet copter capsule somewhere?" Oolong asked. "No, I think he's actually planning to make the trip on foot," Yamcha asked. "I suppose I better go find this Chi-Chi. Surely she hasn't gotten too far," he added as he too took off on foot. "This could be a long wait," Oolong said to himself. It had been 4 days since Kakarot had left to find Master Rashi. Yamcha had returned fairly quickly with Chi-Chi, who seemed to adore the young bandit, much to Yamcha's discomfort. After all, she was quite a bit younger than him. In the distance, a small figure appeared, coming at them fast. A moment later, Kakarot arrived with the old master in tow. "I found him," Kakarot stated, panting slightly from the exertion. "He didn't have the Banshu fan, but he said he could put out the fire himself, so I brought him along." "How'd you get back in just 4 days?" Bulma said. "It's several hundred miles to where we met Rashi on the shoreline." "Well, I did have to stop to eat and sleep," Kakarot said, taking the question the wrong way. To him, running long distances wasn't that big of a deal. In fact, it had been the others that had been slowing him down on this whole trip. "Master," Ox King said, running up to Rashi and interrupting any further conversation about how Kakarot had made the trip so quickly. "I'm so pleased to see you." "Now wait a minute, Ox," Rashi said in a harsh tone. "What's this I hear about you killing a bunch of people over some stupid treasure? That's not the way I taught you when I trained you in Gohan." "Yes, Master," Ox said, bowing lowly. "If you put out the fire, I promise I'll start being better." "Very well, I'll put out the fire," Rashi said as he threw his shirt and turtle shell to the side and climbed up on the stone wall facing the torrent of fire on the mountain. He was a scrawny sight to behold, but Kakarot knew better. He knew that the old man was stronger than he looked. "What's he doing?" Bulma whispered. "Master's going to do his Kamehameha wave," Ox King answered. "It's a very hard move to learn, one that neither me nor Gohan ever mastered." Kakarot watched in interest as the master readied to perform this mysterious technique that was so hard to learn. If it was powerful enough to put out this flame, he was definitely interested in learning more about it. Rashi readied himself and concentrated. In the next instant, his scrawny muscles suddenly beefed up as the master became instantly buff. He then cupped his hands and began to chant, "Ka, me, ha, me." Kakarot watched as blue energy began to form in the old master's hands. This technique wasn't all that different than the energy blast that he'd been performing earlier, except that somehow with the increased concentration, the blast was much more powerful. Even more powerful than someone with his power level should be able to muster. The master finished shooting the blue beam of energy at the fire. There was a giant explosion, and when the dust settled, sure enough, the fire was out, but the mountain was gone and the castle in ruins. I guess I overdid it, Rashi said. I must not be as rusty as I thought. That was amazing, Yamcha commented. I wonder if I could do that. Kakarot said to himself. That technique takes years to learn, Master Rashi said, hearing the boy. It took me 50 years to master it myself after I invented it. Kakarot took a stance and cupped his hands, concentrating. After making sure nothing important was in the way, he focused, bringing his energy out and concentrating it all in his hands. Ka, me, ha, me, he chanted. Blue energy began forming in his hands as he continued the technique. He shouted as he launched a Kamehameha wave of his own. Though much smaller than Rashi's attack, it still could have done a lot of damage had it hit anything. Very impressive, Rashi said. You have a lot of potential to be a great warrior someday. I could teach you much. You've already agreed to train me when this is over, Kakarot reminded him. That I will, my boy, Rashi agreed. Chapter 6. According to the bleeper, the Dragon Ball should be in this castle, Bulma said as the travelers walked up to a giant wooden door to a castle. Looks suspicious, Kakarot said. Yeah, Poir said, floating near Yamcha's shoulder. No one good lives in a castle like this. So what do we do? Yamcha asked. We knock, I suppose, Kakarot said. What if they're not friendly? Bulma said worriedly, remembering stories of an evil little emperor that was supposedly collecting the Dragon Balls. Could this be his castle? She wondered. Kakarot tapped his scouter. There aren't any high power levels in there, he said. If they're not friendly, we should be able to handle them. With that, the young Saiyan walked up and knocked on the door. Who is it? A voice asked from the speaker. We're looking for a small orange ball that has a star in it, Kakarot answered, referring to the one star ball that they hadn't found yet. We're willing to offer payment for it, he added. Very well, the voice said. Come in and we'll discuss it. With that, the door opened, allowing the travelers into the castle. Sire, Chao said. Why are you letting them in? You idiot, Pilaf replied. There's no way we defeat that kid in a straight fight. That's why we need to trap them, and inviting them in is the best way to have them off guard. Brilliant, sire, Mai said. Let's go, Bulma said, walking into the dark hallway beyond the door. Wait, Kakarot said. It could be a trap. Let's go slowly. With that, the travelers entered the castle and walked down the dark passageway to meet whatever awaited them. Now we've got them, Pilaf said with delight. Close the walls around them now. Kakarot turned as he heard a noise behind him. An instant later, a wall slid down behind the travelers. The young Saiyan jumped forward as he also saw another wall dropping in front of them. Being an instant too late to escape the prison, the Saiyan was trapped along with his companions. Well, this is just great, Yamcha said, looking at the prison around them and breaking the silence. Maybe we can break the walls, Oolong suggested. After all, you and Kakarot are pretty strong. Not a bad idea to try, the young Saiyan admitted. Kakarot walked over to one of the walls and took a deep breath. Concentrating his strength, he slammed his fist into the wall. Unfortunately for him, the wall didn't budge, and all he got out of the experience was bruised knuckles. I'll try now, Yamcha said, attacking the wall with kicks and punches of his own. You're wasting your time, Kakarot said. If I couldn't punch through it, you're not going to get anywhere. Then what do you suppose we do? The bandit said, almost losing his temper. We wait, Kakarot replied. Obviously, we're trapped in here for a reason. They probably want the Dragon Balls. They'll have to come in and get them. That's probably our best chance of escape. Great, sire, Chao said happily. You have them trapped. Yes, Pilaf said evilly. Now we have them. But how are we going to get the Dragon Balls from them, sire? Mai asked, ruining her master's moment, or so she thought. Simple, Pilaf replied. Obviously, he'd thought this through. The room they are trapped in is equipped with knockout gas. All we have to do is knock them out, steal the Dragon Balls, and make my wish. Brilliant, Cho said. Several hours later, the travelers woke up. What happened? Bulma said, groggy. Knockout gas, Yamcha said. So much for waiting for them to come get the Dragon Balls. he added, looking at Kakarot. Okay, so I was wrong, the Saiyan replied. We need to get out more urgently now, but punching the walls wildly won't necessarily help. We need a plan. Maybe you should try your Kamehameha wave, Yamcha suggested. It's worth a try, Kakarot agreed. He cupped his hands at his side and concentrated. Me. Me. He shouted, shooting blue energy out of his hands and into one of the walls. When the smoke cleared, there was a hole to the outside about 1 foot around. Not quite big enough to get out of, Kakarot said. But then something caught his attention. Down below were Pilaf and his minions with the 7 Dragon Balls gathered about to make their wish. We need to stop them, Bulma said. He'll wish for something evil. I should have never started this quest, she thought. All I wanted was a boyfriend, and now look what happened. Oolong, Poor, Kakarot said. Transform into something small and get down there and try to steal one of the Dragon Balls before they make their wish. With that plan, Oolong and Poir transformed into bats and flew out of the hole and toward the Dragon Balls. Arise, Shenron, Pilaf said before they could reach the Dragon Balls. The sky suddenly became dark and lightning began striking in the area. Finally, a huge bolt of lightning struck the Dragon Balls and remained. After a short time, the lightning took the shape of a green dragon. Shenron was released. You who have summoned me, the dragon spoke. I will grant you one wish. Pilaf smiled. I wish for a pair of a hot girl's panties, Oolong yelled before the emperor could finish. To be the undisputed ruler of the world, Pilaf finished. Your wish is granted, Shenron said as his red eyes temporarily brightened. The dragon disappeared, and the Dragon Balls rose into the air and shot out in 7 different directions, once again scattered all over the planet. In the place of the dragon, a pair of girls' underwear appeared and fell onto Oolong's head. I'll get you for this, Pilaf said as he activated the gas in the room again. When the travelers finally awoke again, their surroundings had changed. Now, instead of the strong stone walls of the castle surrounding them, they were in a room with steel walls and a clear ceiling. Oolong and Poir were also back in the new cell with them, having been captured again while the others were unconscious. Greetings, a voice said. On a screen, Pilaf's face appeared. You may have ruined my plans, but you will die for your crimes. There is no escape from this room, if that's what you're thinking. The walls are triple reinforced steel, much stronger than the other cell I had you in. The ceiling is made of the same strength of material. Now to the death part. When the sun rises, this room becomes an oven, and you will cook in it. We're going to die, Bulma sobbed at hearing the evil plan. Don't worry, Bulma, Kakarot said in a reassuring voice. That was one thing she liked about the kid. He never panicked and always seemed to be in control of the situation. If only she'd met him before this quest, she might not have had to find the Dragon Balls to wish for a boyfriend after all. Yeah, Yamcha said. Kakarot's Kamehameha wave might still get us out. I doubt it, Kakarot said. But I'll try. Ka me, me, he chanted, shooting another Kamehameha wave at the wall. Everyone but Kakarot gasped in despair when they saw the wall undamaged. Now what? Oolong said in a hopeless tone. We still have one chance, Kakarot said. Tonight is the night of the full moon. As a Saiyan, I have the ability to transform if I look at the full moon. What do you mean transform? Bulma asked. I become my Oozuru form, Kakarot said. It multiplies a Saiyan's strength 10-fold, he finished proudly. That's one of the reasons we're such feared warriors. It sounds like there's something you're not telling us, kid, Oolong said. Well, Kakarot said, I haven't completely mastered the form yet. So you can't use all its power? Yamcha asked. No, Kakarot replied. It's not that. I just don't have much control. It's getting better with each transformation, but it's still not perfect. That's why when I start to transform, I want you to grab Bulma and get as far away as possible. Is there any way to reverse this once it happens? Yamcha asked. I mean, if you go too crazy. The only way would be if I lost my tail, Kakarot admitted. But if you cut my tail off, I will kill you. Fine, Yamcha said. We'll just keep our distance. All right, Kakarot said, sitting down and getting in a meditative posture. What are you doing? Bulma asked. I'm clearing my mind before I transform, Kakarot replied. It helps with controlling the Oozuru form. Kakarot meditated for about 30 more minutes before he opened his eyes and looked up at the full moon outside. Suddenly, the pupils of the Saiyan's eyes disappeared and his heart started beating more rapidly. His face morphed into a snout and his body started growing. Hair covered his entire body and he grew to about 20 feet tall. To the amazement of those around him, his Saiyan armor stretched to accommodate his increase in size. The walls around them crumbled as Kakarot's body grew too big for the prison. "Let's go," Yamcha said, grabbing Bulma, Puar, and Oolong and running out of the way of Kakarot's big feet. The Oozuru ignored them for the most part, focused on destroying what was left of Pilaf's castle. Kakarot roared as his fist passed through one of Pilaf's towers. For the most part, he was aware of his surrounding, but he was still filled with incredible rage and had to let it out. This was common of his Oozuru transformation, but it did seem to be getting better than it used to be. At least he thought he had enough control not to trample anyone he cared about. "We've got to stop him," Bulma said. "Look at the destruction he's causing." "I'm not getting involved in that," Yamcha said. He was truly terrified of trying to stop the beast that Kakarot had become. And to be honest with himself, he was terrified of what Kakarot would do to him if he did stop him by cutting off the boy's tail. Suddenly, the Oozuru was distracted by a plane taking off from the ruins of the castle. "Looks like Pilaf's trying to escape," Yamcha said. The plane climbed high enough to escape the monster, but Kakarot turned his head toward it and opened his mouth and shot a blast at the plane, hitting the wing and causing the plane to spiral down and crash in the distance. Kakarot, now satisfied that he'd had his revenge for his imprisonment, calmed down slightly. His anger subsided somewhat, and he found control became somewhat easier. "Look, he's quit destroying things," Oolong pointed out as they watched Kakarot begin to aimlessly wander around the area, occasionally smashing something, but relatively calm for the most part. The next morning, Yamcha, Bulma, Oolong, and Puar looked around the rubble of Pilaf's castle. Kakarot had sure done a number on the castle, that was for sure. Yamcha hoped never to be on the receiving end of that kind of rage. "There he is," Bulma said, walking over to a sleeping Kakarot. After a little shaking, the boy was awake. "That really takes it out of you," he said. "That was scary," Bulma said. "I know," Kakarot said. "And believe me, I'm working on better control. I am glad to know I have enough control to have not attacked you. It would be a shame if you got hurt." Bulma blushed. "So where are you going now that we're done hunting the Dragon Balls?" she asked, hoping to spend more time with the boy. "I'm going to go train with Master Roshi," Kakarot answered flatly. "I need to get as strong as possible." "I'm going to train too," Yamcha said. "I'll want a rematch." "You're on," Kakarot said, actually smiling. "How about at the next World Martial Arts Tournament?" "Sounds good," Kakarot said. "I'll come watch," Bulma said, blushing at the young Saiyan again. Chapter 7. Kakarot stepped onto the island that housed the great Master Roshi. The old master's house was a simple one painted white with a red roof, but it served the old man right. "Hey, old man," Kakarot yelled. "I'm ready for my training now." Roshi poked his head outside the house. "Well, if it isn't my young Saiyan friend. Finish with that task of yours, did ya? Where's that pretty girl companion of yours?" "She went home while I train," Kakarot answered. "Now let's get started." They were interrupted as a small, bald-headed boy landed head first in the sand. Apparently, he'd decided to make an entrance by jumping from his boat to the shore. He'd made an entrance all right. Kakarot tried to suppress a laugh, but couldn't quite manage it. A minute later, the old master and Kakarot had pulled the boy free of the sand and righted him. "Who are you?" Kakarot said in a harsh tone. "For your information," the boy answered in just as harsh a tone. "I'm Krillin. I have traveled a great distance to train with the great Master Roshi." "Beat it," Kakarot replied. "Master Roshi already has a much more promising student than you." "The boy has a point," Roshi confirmed. "I did promise to train him, and I don't usually take two students." "I brought you some reading material," Krillin replied, pulling out and handing the old master several dirty magazines. Roshi's eyes went wide at such a beautiful sight, but he quickly composed himself. "You'll have to do better than that," he told Krillin. "Your first task is to find me a beautiful girl for a date." "That's not the task of a martial artist," Krillin said. "Do you want me to train you or not?" Roshi replied. "Fine," Krillin replied. But are you going to make him find you one too? No, Rashi said. I don't think so. I already have an arrangement with him. Krillin turned and uncapsuled a jet copter and got in. Fine, I will return with one for you then. After Krillin had left, Rashi turned to Kakarot. All right, before I train you, I have some questions for you. Go ahead and ask then, Kakarot said. Okay, Rashi said. Why do you want to learn from me? Well, Kakarot said, I want to learn any techniques that might be useful in a fight. That's what I was afraid of, Rashi said. You know, martial arts aren't just for beating up people and impressing girls. It's for defending those who cannot defend themselves. You mean like an entire race of people who were killed by an evil tyrant of incredible strength? Kakarot said with a bit of bitterness in his voice. Yes, sort of like that, Rashi admitted. Is there something you want to talk about? I'm the last of my race, Kakarot stated flatly. An evil being named Frisia destroyed my planet and my people. He rules most of this galaxy with an iron fist. I need to get strong enough to beat him. Are you sure that's even possible? Rashi said, a bit surprised. I'm a Saiyan, Kakarot replied. We're a warrior race. I will defeat him someday. I won't let what happened to my planet happen to this one. Let's just say I've become fond of it since I grew up here. That's all I needed to know, Rashi said. Your intentions are good, and it sounds like it's important that you become strong. You have the potential to become the strongest on the planet, and if something that bad really is out there, I'll do everything I can to help you be ready if it comes here. Let's get started then, Kakarot said. Let's wait a little while. I have a feeling our young friend will return soon, and we'll have to be moving before we start the training. There's not enough room on this island. Fine then, Kakarot said, walking over and sitting cross-legged on the sand next to the house. I'll just meditate a little while I'm waiting. A few hours later, Krillin returned with a tall, skinny brunette woman in short shorts and a tank top. Rashi looked up and immediately fell over with a nosebleed. This is Launch, Krillin said with a grin. Very good work, my boy, Rashi replied. You can train with us. Yes, Krillin said, excited to be training with the great Master Rashi. Shall we have our first lesson then? Master Rashi said. Launch, would you like to join us? I don't fight, the girl said. Martial arts is good for many things, Rashi replied. It helps physical fitness and concentration. Okay, Launch said. Wait before we start, Rashi said, running into the house. A few minutes later, he came out with 4 boxes. We need training uniforms. He pulled out 4 sets of black lingerie with pink lace. I'm not wearing that, Kakarot said flatly, ruining the master's plans. It gives you unrestricted movement, Rashi said, still trying to get Launch into the underwear. My armor is fine, Kakarot said. The boy knew full well what the old pervert was up to, and he wasn't going to be caught dead wearing something like that just so the old man could get a show. Fine, Rashi said. The training gear is optional. He went over and handed a pair to Launch and Krillin. Leaning over to Krillin, he pleaded, just wear it and back me up. A few minutes later, the 4 were doing stretches. Krillin, Master Rashi, and Launch were all dressed in the special training gear, while Kakarot was still in his Saiyan armor. Achoo, Launch sneezed. Suddenly, the girl's hair changed from brown to blonde, and her attitude changed more severely. So you dressed me up like a doll, she said in an angry tone. Well, this doll comes with its own machine gun. The blonde girl pulled out a submachine gun and pointed it at the 3 martial artists. Before she could fire, Kakarot shot forward and pushed the muzzle of the gun up, causing all the shots fired to go up in the air. Before she could fire again, Launch sneezed, causing her to turn back to her innocent self. Sorry about that, she said. My personality changes when I sneeze. The next day, Rashi and his students had packed up everything and moved to a bigger island where they'd have more room for training. Rashi now stood outside with his 2 pupils. Launch had decided not to train with them and was instead inside the house cooking. Now, first things first, Rashi said. I'm going to test your speed. How fast you run is a good indication of how strong you are. Krillin, would you like to start us off? Sure thing, Master, Krillin said with a smug grin. He went to the starting point while Rashi stood about 100 yards away with a stopwatch. Go, Rashi said. Krillin ran to the tree where Rashi was standing. 8.5 seconds, Rashi said, not bad at all. All right, Kakarot, your turn. Kakarot lined up at the starting line. He'd traded his armor today for a loose-fit pair of black pants and a white tank top. He didn't figure he needed the protection anyway. In fact, he'd figured the protection it offered him might actually hinder his training if they sparred. Go, Rashi said. Kakarot closed the distance to the tree. 7 seconds flat, Rashi said, surprised. He hadn't thought the boy had that much potential. Now I bet you boys want to see how strong the master is. It's all right, Kakarot said. I already know how strong you are. And how do you know that? Krillin asked sarcastically, still bent out of shape at having his time beaten. It's called a scouter, Kakarot said, pointing to the device over his eye. It measures a fighter's fighting strength. Moving on, Rashi said, breaking the tension between his two students. Your next test will be, he said, taking a small rock and drawing a symbol on it, to find this rock. He threw the rock off a cliff and into the trees below. The one that brings back the rock will get dinner. The one that doesn't will go without. If neither of you have returned within 30 minutes, you both will go without. With that, the old man walked into the house. How am I supposed to get down there? Krillin said to himself. Kakarot ignored the cocky yet clueless boy and jumped over the side. Using his energy to slow his descent, he landed lightly on the ground below and ran off into the trees. Wait up, Krillin yelled as he climbed his way down, knowing he was at a severe disadvantage now. Several minutes later, Krillin arrived at the bottom. To his surprise, he saw Kakarot walking toward him. Did you give up already? He said in a cocky tone. No, I already have the stone, Kakarot said flatly, flashing the stone. How'd you find that so fast? Krillin asked in disbelief. Well, first, Kakarot replied, I paid attention where he threw it, and it also has a scent on it. I'll make you a deal, Krillin said. How about we have a quick spar and the winner gets the stone? Kakarot grinned. Sure, if that's what you want. Kakarot placed the stone in a bag and tied it to his belt. He took a fighting stance. You know you don't stand a chance, he said. We'll see, Krillin said. I've trained for 8 years under monks. They are great martial artists. The boy was interrupted as Kakarot shot forward and landed a punch in the boy's mouth. Krillin staggered back, but Kakarot never let up for a minute. He came around with a roundhouse kick to Krillin's head, sending the bald boy flying into a nearby tree. Krillin hit hard, then slumped to the ground. But he soon got to his feet. No fair, I wasn't ready, he said. You proposed the fight, Kakarot said. You should have been ready. Krillin shot at Kakarot, trying to catch the boy by surprise by attacking while he was gloating. He sent a foot at the boy's midsection, but Kakarot shot a hand out and blocked the punch with an open palm. Krillin continued his offensive with a punch at the Saiyan's temple, but Kakarot leaned his head to the side and brought his own fist forward toward Krillin's stomach. Krillin brought his knee up and blocked the blow just in time. He was amazed how much the blow had him, even though he'd blocked it. But Krillin wasn't going to let a thing like that stop him from winning the fight and dinner. He shot his head forward, surprising Kakarot with a head, but to the face, bloodying the young Saiyan's nose. Taking advantage of his momentary advantage, Krillin brought his knee up into Kakarot's stomach with as much strength as he could muster, doubling the Saiyan over. Finishing the move, Krillin sent a roundhouse kick at the Saiyan, sending him flying back. Kakarot picked himself up off the ground and wiped some blood off of his face. Not bad, he said. I'm impressed. He shot back at Krillin and threw a punch at the monk's face. Krillin went to block, but realized too late that the blow was just a feint. Kakarot raised his other palm at point-blank range to Krillin's face and let loose a small energy blast. Krillin was caught entirely by surprise by this move. He'd heard rumors of some of the great masters being able to do such things. He'd even heard of Master Roshi's legendary Kamehameha wave, but to think this boy could manipulate energy was impossible. But he believed it when the blast hit him in the face, slightly burning and sending him sprawling back. Kakarot shot forward. He knew that the blast he'd sent at Krillin wasn't powerful enough to hurt the boy, but hurting him badly wasn't his objective. The blast had been mostly a distraction. Kakarot shot a knee up into Krillin's stomach, doubling the monk over. Bringing both hands down in an axe handle, Kakarot struck Krillin in the back of the neck hard, sending the boy into unconsciousness. Chapter 8. All right, today we'll start training for real, Master Roshi told his 2 students the next morning as the sun rose behind him. He'd been a little disappointed at first when he'd found out that Kakarot had already knocked young Krillin out in a spar they'd had. But the boy had said it had been Krillin who had challenged him, and if that was the case, Krillin probably did need taken down a notch. The old master did notice that the bald-headed student was being much more quiet and reserved today than he had been previously. We'll start off with a brief run, Rashi continued. After a few minutes of light jogging, they arrived at a small house with a goat man stacking milk crates. You must be the one I talked to earlier, Rashi said to the man. We'll make sure to have all this delivered by breakfast. Excuse me, master, Krillin interjected. What does delivering milk have to do with martial arts? I don't know, Rashi replied. Maybe it has to do with having the discipline to do what you're told. Yes, master, Krillin said, slightly backing away from the master. Kakarot suppressed a chuckle. He wasn't exactly sure what this had to do with martial arts either, but he wasn't going to say anything, at least until he had a chance to see what the training actually consisted of. After all, Master Rashi was almost incredibly strong, at least for a human. Surely that meant that he was doing something right in his training. We'll start off easy, Rashi said. We'll skip the first 3 miles. Krillin's face dropped. Did he say 3 miles? He thought to himself, but managed to keep quiet. Several minutes later, the three arrived at the house and put the milk at the door. Very good, Rashi said. Now for the next 2 miles, we'll zigzag through these trees down this path. Kakarot suppressed a smile when he saw Krillin's face drop. He now understood what the point of this was. It was to build physical endurance. While it might not be the most effective method of training, he'd at least give it a chance. After arriving at the next house, Krillin panted. Finally done. Not quite, Rashi said. We will take a break from running with a few stairs. That'll be nice, Krillin said to himself. His face paled as he looked up and saw that a few stairs was stairs all the way up a mountain. Let's get started, Rashi said as they started climbing. Kakarot relaxed in the cool grass outside the house. After delivering milk, they had plowed fields by hand, did construction work, and been chased by a shark while swimming laps. While the training was unconventional, Kakarot admitted to himself that he was tired from it. Now the old master had said to rest, and they'd continue training tomorrow. While Kakarot was tired, part of him was disappointed by this. He'd hoped to get some good sparring in, but Krillin had been too exhausted to put up much of a fight, so the young Saiyan let it go. Several weeks had passed, and Kakarot and Krillin had continued to do their daily routine, except with 50-pound turtle shells on their backs. Rashi had avoided training them in any way other than telling them to do their routine, and that they weren't ready to learn anything else. Man, I wish Master Rashi would teach us something, Krillin complained after one day's training. At least you're not almost dead after the routine now, Kakarot commented. It must be doing something. You do have a point, Krillin admitted. But I'd like to make sure my fighting skills are not getting dull. Well, why don't we spar a bit? Kakarot suggested. I don't know, Krillin said, still remembering how easily Kakarot had beat him the last time. How about I wear my turtle shell? Kakarot said. That'll give you the advantage. But you'll get creamed, Krillin said. I'll just have to learn to be better then, Kakarot said. Fine, Krillin said, thinking he'd get some payback. Krillin dropped his turtle shell and charged at Kakarot with speed he'd previously never had. The monk shot a fist out at Kakarot's head, but the young Saiyan managed to move out of the way at the last second. Krillin was surprised at how much faster he was even after only a few weeks of Master Rashi's training. Unfortunately, his moment of surprise was interrupted as Kakarot's fist shot into his stomach. Krillin doubled over from the blow. He hadn't thought that Kakarot would be able to keep up with the turtle shell on, but apparently the young Saiyan was still going to be a challenge. Krillin shook off the blow to the stomach and blocked the fist that was aimed at his head. Krillin soon went on the offensive with a sweeping kick of his own, trying to take the feet out from under Kakarot. The young Saiyan jumped over the attack and backflipped out of range of the next punch headed at his body. Kakarot shot forward at Krillin with an uppercut aimed at the boy's jaw, but the weight of the turtle shell slowed him just enough for Krillin to put an arm in front of the blow, deflecting the arm down and to the side. The monk took this opportunity to shoot a fist into the young Saiyan's stomach, causing him to double over. A small drop of blood shot from his mouth and landed on the white tank top he wore. Rashi watched the spar from the porch of the house. He knew this day would come when Kakarot would need to do more than just physical endurance exercises. The boy was impatient and felt the need to be the best as soon as possible. Rashi could sympathize with the boy's sense of urgency. If there was an alien out there that had killed the boy's people, it could come to this planet and strike at any time. It was no wonder the boy wanted to train constantly. While his original plan had been to have them defeated at the next tournament, to keep them humble and make sure to keep them training, Rashi decided that he could help them more than he'd originally planned. After all, Kakarot wasn't likely to lose his drive to train as long as there was still this mysterious alien out there. And Krillin wasn't likely to beat Kakarot if they trained the same amount. Rashi continued to watch the fight. No, they weren't quite ready, the old man decided. He'd let them train on their own if they wanted. If they got strong enough doing that, he'd start instructing them on more of the advanced techniques of the turtle style. Several months passed as the boys continued to train. Kakarot stood alone near the beach after their daily routine. He was hardly winded from the workout anymore, which he had to admit was an improvement. He knew he was much stronger than he'd been when him and Krillin had started the training. He and Krillin had also both been sparring every afternoon after their workout for the past few months. Today, Kakarot had decided to postpone the spar and work on controlling his energy. Me, me, Kakarot shouted as he sent his 20th Kamehameha wave into the ocean. Very good, a voice said from behind him. Kakarot turned to see Master Rashi standing behind him. Want some instruction? I think I've got it, Kakarot said. It wasn't all that hard to master. You may have learned to perform the move, Rashi said, but you haven't mastered it yet. How's that? Kakarot asked. You need to learn how to put more of your energy into it, the master replied. Try holding the energy and putting as much of your energy into it as possible before releasing it. That will build your endurance faster and let you make stronger Kamehameha waves. What made you want to start training me? Kakarot asked. You haven't really helped much the last few months. You weren't quite ready, Rashi said. Now I think you are. All right, I'll give it a try then, Kakarot said. Me, Kakarot said as he gathered the blue energy in his hands. He continued to push more energy into his hands until he thought he had no more to give. He finished as he let the much larger Kamehameha wave go out into the ocean. Very good, Rashi said. I'm amazed you've managed to channel so much energy into it so easily. It took me nearly 50 years to master that move. It was nothing, Kakarot said, panting. Now if you do as many of those as you can every day, you'll get stronger in no time, Rashi said. Now to work on your reflexes. How are we going to do that? Kakarot asked. Well, Rashi responded. Since you seem to like to spar so much, I figured we'd get your reflexes tuned by having you spar against someone stronger than you. All right, let's do this, Kakarot said as he took a fighting stance. Wait, Rashi said. Krillin, he yelled. Yes, master, the monk said, running over from where he'd been quietly meditating. Since he'd seen Kakarot so easily use energy waves, he was determined to duplicate the move as well. Come over here, Rashi instructed. You two are going to both spar against the old master. True Saiyans fight alone, Kakarot said. Then true Saiyans are foolish, Rashi said. Having alias and working as a team against a stronger opponent is an important thing to learn if you ever want to be a great warrior. Sometimes your opponent may be much stronger than you. At times like that, you must work together to beat your opponent. All right, let's get started then, Kakarot said, getting into a fighting stance. Right, Krillin said, also getting into a stance. The two boys both charged at the old master, throwing punches at the old man's head. Rashi easily ducked Kakarot's punch and sidestepped Krillin's. The boys kept coming at the old master, but Rashi continued to block the uncoordinated attacks without too much trouble. Kakarot continued to throw kicks and punches at the old master, but Rashi still managed to stay ahead of the blows, even with Krillin attacking him at the same time. Suddenly what Rashi had said sunk in. He realized that if he were to win this spar, he'd have to work with Krillin and somehow coordinate his attacks with the monk. The young Saiyan saw Krillin throw a left hook at Rashi out of the corner of his eye. Kakarot shot a foot out, catching the master in the head with his kick as he dodged Krillin's punch. Rashi went flying back from the blow, but quickly recovered. Very good, the master said. You're starting to get it now? But now I'm going to quit going easy on you. With that, Rashi charged at his two pupils. First, he threw a punch at Kakarot that the boy managed to block. At the same time, Krillin came in with a kick aimed at the old man's stomach, but Rashi managed to block just in time, returning a punch to Krillin's gut for the boy's trouble. Kakarot came in behind the old man with a left hook at Rashi's head while he thought the old man was distracted but received an elbow to the face for his trouble. Kakarot got up wiping blood from his face and grinned. Now this was the kind of fight he'd been waiting for. He charged back into the fray and started throwing kicks and punches wildly at Rashi while Krillin did the same. Rashi managed to stay ahead of most of the blows, but couldn't block or dodge them all. But to the old master's credit, he dealt out more blows than he'd received. Kakarot continued to throw kicks and punches at the old master, but he knew his endurance was nearing its limits. As if on cue, Rashi went on the offensive and drove a fist into the boy's stomach, doubling him over. Without wasting a second, Rashi shot his knee up, catching Kakarot in the chin, sending him flying up into the air. Rashi dodged a kick from Krillin and jumped up and caught Kakarot with an axe handle, sending him flying into the ground hard. Seconds later, he turned his attention to Krillin. He sent a kick at Krillin's head, sending the boy flying into a rock formation. The old man shot to follow the monk, but was interrupted as he was hit in the back of the head by a small ki blast. He turned to see Kakarot standing in his small crater with one hand covering his ribs and the other outstretched, having shot the blast. The boy's white tank top was ripped in several places, and his black pants had a hole in both the knees. The young Saiyan was also covered in scratches and bruises. "I'm not finished yet," Kakarot said, charging at the old man and throwing some kicks and punches at him. Unfortunately for him, Rashi dodged them all and returned several, pummeling the young Saiyan with blows of his own. Minutes later, Rashi landed yet another devastating blow to Kakarot's face and followed it with a sweeping kick to the boy's ribs, sending him flying to the ground once again. Kakarot got to his feet and cupped his hands at his side. "Kami, Hami," he chanted as he put as much energy as he could into the wave aimed at the old man. "Ha," he shouted, sending the wave at Rashi. "Kamehameha," Rashi chanted as he gathered energy of his own and sent it flying at Kakarot's beam easily, sending both beams back at the boy. They hit with tremendous force, causing an explosion. When the smoke cleared, Kakarot still stood, his clothes even more torn than before. His body was now almost covered with cuts, bruises, and burns. The young Saiyan started forward, but quickly collapsed unconscious from the attack. Rashi grinned. "I've still got it," he said to himself, having beaten both his students. "Though if Kakarot keeps this up, I'll have to start training myself again." Chapter 9. The day of the tournament finally arrived. Rashi stood outside Kame House with his two students. "Now you can take off your turtle shells," Rashi said. "You won't need them at the tournament." "Good," Krillin said. "I thought we'd look silly." Kakarot simply dropped his shell to the ground as if he'd never noticed the weight in the first place. "I've got something for you," Launch said, coming out of the house. "2 new suits to wear to the tournament." "No offense," Kakarot said, "but I think it'd be better if I just wore this to fight in." "Oh yeah, silly me," Launch said with a smile. "The suit's just to wear on the way," Rashi said, handing it to Kakarot. "I'm not wearing that thing," Kakarot said, sounding irritated. "Well, all right then," Rashi said. "I was hoping to give you these at the tournament, but I suppose you can wear them now." The old man turned and handed his students 2 boxes. Krillin opened his first to reveal an orange martial arts GI with a blue undershirt and the turtle symbol on it. "This is awesome," Krillin said, excited to have the new fighting uniform. Kakarot opened his box to reveal a green GI with a black undershirt. His also had the turtle symbol on the back. "The colors are to match your armor," Rashi said. "The symbol is to show that you're my student." Kakarot didn't quite know what to say. He loved it. The Saiyan boy smiled, something he rarely did. "Thanks," he said, taking the uniform inside to change. An airplane and taxi ride later, and the warriors arrived at the World Martial Arts Tournament. "We need to sign up for the tournament," Rashi told the tournament attendant. "How many are in your party?" the attendant asked. "There are 3 of us fighting," Rashi responded. "Who are the people fighting?" the attendant asked. "Myself and the 2 boys," Rashi replied. "Are you kidding?" the man asked. "An old man and 2 children?" "No, I'm not kidding," Rashi yelled at the man. "We're all going to fight." Originally, Rashi had planned to fight under the alias Jackie Chun, but had decided against it. He knew that Kakarot would have no problem going all out against him, even if he knew who he was. Kakarot. A voice yelled from across the way, interrupting Rashi's thoughts. Hey, I knew you'd come, an excited Yamcha said, coming up to the group. Ready for that rematch? Sure, Kakarot said with a grin. It's your funeral. We'll see about that, Yamcha said. I've been training extra hard just to beat you. Let's see how strong you are then, Kakarot said, fixing his scouter to his eye. Hitting the button on the side, he got a reading. 90, not bad, he said. That certainly is an improvement from last we met, a voice said from behind them. But my money is still on Kakarot beating the tar out of you. Hey, Bulma, Kakarot said, turning to the girl that had just walked in on their conversation. I see you made it. Yeah, I wouldn't miss this for the world, she responded nervously. The night passed quickly with old friends catching up, and before no time, the next morning had arrived, and it was time for the 21st World Martial Arts Tournament to begin. An old man with a long gray mustache stood in front of the group of assembled fighters. Now listen up, the man said, because I don't want to have to repeat myself. We'll be playing single elimination in the qualifying rounds. You'll be divided into 4 groups, and the top 2 from those groups will go on to the finals. You lose if you are knocked out, are thrown from the ring, or kill your opponent. After a few minutes and a few more rules being explained, the contestants drew numbers. What number did you get? Krillin asked Kakarot. I got 46, he said, holding up his number. 70. Kakarot said, showing his number to Krillin. What? Krillin said. That puts us both in Tier 3. Kakarot chuckled as he watched the fear on Krillin's face at the prospect of fighting him. Don't worry, he said. We're on opposite sides of the tier. But you'll have to fight me eventually if you hope to win. I'll be in the finals. And I'll be in there with you, Yamcha said, coming up to the 2 warriors. I'm in Tier 2, by the way. Will the first 2 fighters come up? The attendant said. I need numbers 69 and 70. Kakarot walked up to the ring and stared down his opponent. He didn't have his scouter on for the tournament, but he wasn't worried. While the man towered over him in height and stature, Kakarot was sure he could easily beat the man. Hey, it's Kakarot, Bulma said from the window where she was watching with the resigned help of Oolong. Ready, fight, the announcer said. I'll smash you, Kakarot's opponent boasted. Not likely, Kakarot said as he jumped over the man's fist and sent a roundhouse kick to the giant's face. The man flew out of the ring, through the wall, and out of the stadium where he landed unconscious. We have a winner, folks, the attendant said. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? The announcer said to the crowd gathered around to watch the fighting. It's time for the 21st Annual World Martial Arts Tournament. The matches will be as follows. Bacterium versus Krillin. Rashi versus Yamcha. Lanfan versus Nam. Kakarot versus Jiren. Now can I have our first 2 contestants up to the ring? Krillin and Bacterium each walked into the ring with everyone holding their noses as the stench off of Bacterium hit. Finish him quickly, Kakarot said. He's not that strong. Right, Krillin said, holding his nose with one hand. Ready, fight, the announcer shouted. Bacterium stalked toward Krillin, causing the boy to back up due to the odor. How am I supposed to hit this guy if I can't even get close to him? Krillin thought as he backed away from Bacterium. Then the thought occurred to him. Pointing his hand toward Bacterium, he gathered his energy and shot a ball of ki at the smelly fighter. The ki ball exploded as it hit, carrying Bacterium from the ring and ending the fight quickly. Man, Krillin's good, Yamcha said as he watched the fight. You're easily impressed, Kakarot retorted. Just wait until we hit the finals, Yamcha said. We'll see how impressed you are then. Next up, we have Yamcha and Rashi, the announcer said, interrupting the argument. We'll see if you make it though this round, Kakarot said as Yamcha went up to the stage. Yamcha took a fighting stance as he stood across the ring from Master Rashi. While he breezed through the preliminary rounds of the tournament, he knew now he faced a real opponent. Ready, fight, the announcer yelled, signaling the beginning of the match. Yamcha charged at the old martial artist and set a punch at the old man's face. Rashi leaned his head to the side and watched as the punch missed by bare inches. Yamcha came up with a kick to the side, but Rashi raised an arm, quickly blocking the move. Yamcha flipped back to his side of the ring to regroup. Man, this guy's tough, he thought. Everything I've thrown at him, he's dodged, as if it were a joke. It's like he's not even trying. I don't remember him being this strong last time we met. He must have done some training too. Are you going to just stand there, or are you going to fight? Rashi said, taking his own stance. I'm going to fight, Yamcha said as he charged at the old man again. This time he feinted a punch at the old man's head and came around with the other leg, delivering a sweeping kick at the old man's legs. But Rashi was not fooled. The old man jumped over the kick before driving a punch into Yamcha's gut, sending the fighter sprawling back a few steps. Man, that hurt, Yamcha thought as he regained his composure. This guy's tough. I'll have to use my Wolf Fang fist against him. Yamcha took the stance of his famous move. Let's see how you like this one. Wolf Fang fist, he shouted as he charged the old man, throwing punches and kicks at a rapid pace. Rashi's hands moved like lightning as he blocked most of Yamcha's attack. A few punches got through, but not enough to do much damage. Not bad, Rashi said after Yamcha had finished the attack. Now it's my turn. Rashi's hand moved so fast it created a wind that carried Yamcha from the ring and onto the grass. How do you like that move? The old man taunted. What? Yamcha said, confused. How could I have lost so easily? Don't take it personal, Kakarot said, coming up beside his friend. The old man is pretty strong. The next match went by fairly quickly with Nam making short work of Lanfan. Now it was Kakarot's turn to fight. Next up we have Kakarot versus Jiren, the announcer said. Kakarot walked calmly up to the stage and faced off against his pterodactyl-like opponent. Jiren looked mean and menacing, but the Saiyan wasn't terribly concerned. Ready, the announcer shouted, fight. Kakarot charged at his opponent, throwing a punch at the beast's face, but Jiren raised a hand and blocked, swinging his tail around to try and knock the Saiyan's legs out from under him. Kakarot stood his ground and grabbed the appendage, swinging the beast around by his tail. Not bad, he said, but this fight is over. Kakarot let go of the beast, sending him flying into the distance. Jiren flapped his wings and slowed his descent. Not bad, kid, but I guess you forgot I could fly. Well, Kakarot said, so can I. The boy pushed his energy under him and shot at the flying beast, throwing punches and kicks in a furious attack. Jiren was caught so off guard that he couldn't even begin to block. The dinosaur continued to get pummeled by the young Saiyan, until with a hard punch to the gut the giant coughed blood. Kakarot wasn't finished though. The Saiyan brought a knee up into the monster's face, sending him flying high up into the air. This time Jiren fell uncontrollably, coming down unconscious in the ring. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer said, we have a winner. Power levels. Kakarot, 205. Krillin, 125. Yamcha, 90. Rashi, 200. Kakarot's first opponent, 25. Bacterium, 14. Lanfan, 14. Nam, 87. Jiren, 71. Chapter 10. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the World Tournament announcer said after Kakarot had finished his fight with Jiren, we are going to take a few minutes before the semifinals begin to interview some of our younger contestants. Krillin and Kakarot walked up to the stage and stood up there with the announcer. Now, boys, the announcer started. Can I ask you a few questions? Sure, Krillin said as Kakarot remained silent. So, Krillin, the announcer continued, I hear that you are only 13 years old. How old are you, Kakarot? I'm 12, Kakarot said. I'll be 13 soon, though. So, boys, from what we've seen so far, you are both amazing fighters. How do you get to be such good fighters at such a young age? Training, Kakarot said. I've heard you boys were trained by the great Master Rashi, who is also participating in this tournament. Is this true? Yes, Kakarot said. But I also do some training on my own. What does this training consist of? Mostly physical endurance, sparring, and some energy manipulation, Kakarot replied. Energy manipulation? The announcer asked. Well, Krillin started. You have to concentrate and bring out. It's like this, Kakarot interrupted, forming a ball of energy in his hand and shooting it at a statue. Kakarot walked down from the stage and stood to watch the fight between Krillin and Master Rashi. He doubted that Krillin could beat the old master. Kakarot, Bulma shouted. The Saiyan walked over to the stands where the girl stood. Before he could say anything, the girl spoke. Kakarot, will you sit with me to watch the fights? Sure, the boy said. Bulma had front row seats to the fight, so it was almost as close as watching from the fighter's area. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer started. The first fight of the semifinals is about to begin. On one side, we have the incredible young fighter and pupil of the great Master Roshi. And on the other side, we have the old master himself, Master Roshi. This should be an interesting matchup to say the least. Has the student surpassed the master? Do you think Krillin can beat the old man? Bulma asked Kakarot. She'd met the other boy when he had shown up with Kakarot to the tournament. Yamcha couldn't even touch him. He won't win, Kakarot said flatly. Roshi is much stronger than Krillin, though I think he'll do better than Yamcha. Ready, fight, the announcer said, interrupting the conversation. Bulma and Kakarot both turned to focus on the fight. Krillin stared down the old master, looking for a break in his defense. He'd sparred against Roshi on multiple occasions, but that was always with himself and Kakarot against the old master. He didn't know if he could do this on his own. Before the boy could finish his thoughts, Roshi shot at the boy, throwing a punch at lightning speed. Krillin managed to raise his arm to block, but the blow still hit with earth-shattering force. Krillin countered the punch with a kick at the old master's legs, but Roshi jumped over attack, sending another blow at his student. Within seconds, the two were trading blows faster than most of the audience could follow. A few minutes later, the two separated from each other, Krillin panting and Roshi barely winded. Now that was a good warm-up, Roshi said. But now it's time to get serious. He was only warming up? Krillin thought as he charged at the old man with a punch to the face. However, the punch passed through Roshi as the after-image faded. Roshi reappeared behind the boy and sent an elbow into his head, knocking his student out cold. Looks like Krillin is out, Bulma said. Can you beat the old man? She asked. She didn't want to see Kakarot get hurt. I don't know, Kakarot said, answering honestly. Though I won't fall for something that simple. The boy was interrupted by the announcer. Now I need Nam and Kakarot up to the stage for the next match. Kakarot jumped over the fence, headed for the ring. Good luck, Bulma yelled at the boy. Kakarot and Nam stared each other down a few minutes later. Ready, fight, the announcer said. I have to win the prize money so I can buy water for my family, Nam thought as he charged at Kakarot, throwing kicks and punches like crazy, but Kakarot blocked or dodged them all. Not bad, Kakarot said when there was a break in the fight. But it's time I end this. Kakarot shot forward, driving his fist into Nam's stomach, doubling over the other fighter. Not missing a step, the young Saiyan sent an uppercut into the man's chin, sending him flying into the air. Nam came down with a crash, but soon got up, wiping the blood from his mouth. This kid is good, he thought, but I have to win. Nam charged at the young Saiyan once more, but his fist only passed through Kakarot's after-image. The next thing Nam knew, Kakarot's foot slammed into his face, sending the tall fighter out of the ring and onto the grass. Well, it looks like Kakarot is the winner of this one, the announcer said. He will face off against Master Roshi in the finals. Yeah, Kakarot, Bulma shouted from the stands. I knew you could do it. Are you ready for the match of the century? The announcer yelled into the microphone. In one corner, we have the great Master Roshi. In the other corner, we have his very own student, Kakarot. Ready, fight. Roshi leapt toward the boy, not wasting a second as the match got underway. The old master came at his pupil with a right cross, but the young boy blocked the punch and came around with a kick of his own, causing Roshi to go on the offensive. Kakarot wasted no time pressing his advantage and sending a flurry of punches and kicks at his master. Roshi, to his credit, blocked every one of them and returned some of his own. A few minutes later, the two separated. Not bad, Roshi said. Not bad yourself, Kakarot said, but the warm-up is over now. Warm-up? The announcer asked. That was a warm-up. Let's get serious then, Roshi agreed, cupping his hands at his side. Me. Me. The old master chanted, charging his signature attack. Kami, Hami. Kakarot chanted, using the same technique. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer said, you are about to be witness to not only one but two masters of the legendary Kamehameha wave in one place. Roshi shouted, sending his fully charged Kamehameha wave at Kakarot. Kakarot yelled as he sent his own energy attack at his master. The two beam met in the middle of the two fighters and struggled for dominance between the two fighters before exploding, sending both fighters back toward their respective corners of the ring in a huge explosion. Kakarot picked himself up off of the ground and dusted his clothes off as the old master did the same. He's strong, Kakarot thought, but not unbeatable. It's time I show him some techniques that he hasn't seen me do before. Let's try that one again, he said out loud, cupping his hands. Ka-me-ha-me. Nothing original? Rashi asked before quickly cupping his hands. Ka-me. H-A-me. H-A, he shouted, sending his wave at Kakarot. The beam only passed through the fading image of the boy as the after image faded. Huh. Kakarot shouted, sending his own Kamehameha wave into Master Rashi's back at point-blank range. The attack quickly pushed the master to the other side of the ring and into one of the statues where he collapsed in a heap buried in rubble. 1, 2, 3. The announcer started counting. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Before he could finish the last number, the rubble shook and Master Rashi pulled himself to his feet and wiped a trickle of blood from his lips. Not bad, he said. You got me on that. Before the old master could finish his sentence, Kakarot was on him, throwing a flurry of kicks and punches with a ferocity the old master had never seen. Rashi managed to block the first two blows, but the third on hit home, digging deep into the turtle hermit's gut. Kakarot wasted no time and drove a knee up into the old master's exposed face, sending him flying into the air. Pushing his energy under him, Kakarot flew up and past the out-of-control master and brought both fists down on Rashi's head in a double axe handle move, sending the old master down into the ground with earth-shattering force. Kakarot remained floating there and cupped his hands. Ka-me. H-A-me. H-A, he shouted, sending the energy attack into the crater after the old master. Rashi looked up just in time to see the energy attack coming his way. This kid doesn't mess around, he thought. I'm going to have to give this one all I've got. The old master quickly bulked up his muscles and cupped his hands at his side. Ka-me. H-A-me. H-A, he shouted as he sent his most powerful Kamehameha wave to meet Kakarot's beam. The two attacks collided in mid-air, and Rashi's quickly overpowered Kakarot's beam, sending the two attacks back at the young Saiyan. Kakarot quickly jumped out of the way, letting the energy beams fly past him and dissipate harmlessly in space. Rashi used that opportunity to leap at Kakarot with a flurry of kicks and punches of his own, trying to catch the young Saiyan off guard. Kakarot blocked or dodged most of the attacks, but some were still getting though. The young Saiyan started to return kicks and punches of his own, and soon the two fighters were fighting faster than most of the audience could even follow. Seconds later, the two separated, both panting slightly. Not bad, Rashi said, but you have no chance of winning this. You're all talk, Kakarot replied, wiping a bit of blood from his mouth. This next technique will end the fight, Rashi said, and you have no chance of beating it. The old master's hands began to glow as he gathered energy for his next move. Kakarot shot forward and drove his boot into the old man's face before he could finish his unbeatable technique. Rashi was sent flying across the stadium, where he hit the other statue that decorated the ring. Kakarot wasted no time and was on Rashi, throwing kicks and punches at the old master before he could recover. Rashi blocked Kakarot's fist from hitting his face and threw a punch of his own at the young Saiyan. His fist passed though only after image though. You really think I'm going to fall for that one, he said as he turned behind him and sent his fist into another after image. Kakarot stopped above the old master as he saw him attack the fourth after image. The young Saiyan launched himself at the old martial arts master in a flying kick, intending to do enough damage on this one to end the fight. Rashi looked up a second too late to see Kakarot's foot collide with his face, sending him flying across the ring and out toward the audience. Kamehameha, Rashi shouted, pointing his hand at the ground to send himself back into the ring. Unfortunately for the old master, his energy was at such a low level by this point that the attack fizzled out about 6 inches from his hands. Rashi hit the ground outside of the ring with a thud and skidded to a halt. Master Rashi is knocked out of the ring, the announcer shouted into the microphone. Kakarot is the new champion of the world. Kakarot, Bulma shouted, hugging the newly victorious warrior. I knew you could do it. Thanks, Bulma, Kakarot said, hugging the girl back. Somehow holding Bulma in his arms just felt right. A few seconds later, the boy's thoughts were interrupted when he noticed that the sun was setting quickly already. "Hey, Bulma," Kakarot said. "Let's go get inside somewhere." "Yes, sure," Bulma said. "What's the hurry, though?" "It's a full moon tonight," Kakarot said. "I don't think anyone wants to see me transform in front of all these people. I don't have complete control yet." "Right," Bulma said, concerned. "That," Kakarot continued, "and I'm starving." Chapter 11. After a hearty meal and a good night's sleep, Kakarot walked out to meet Master Roshi and the others. "So what are you going to do now?" Bulma asked the young Saiyan. "Train," Kakarot said. "Don't you think you need a break from that?" Master Roshi asked. "More like I need a break so I can put the moves on launch," the dirty old man thought. "No," Kakarot said. "I still need to be stronger." "You're already the strongest in the world," Yamcha added. "No offense," Kakarot said, "but that isn't good enough. I need to be stronger if I'm to have any hope of beating Frieza someday." "You can come train at Capsule Corp," Bulma said. "I'm sure I can come up with some kind of training equipment that could help you get stronger. Maybe my dad could build a fighting robot or something." "Sure," Kakarot said. "I don't think there's much more I could learn from Master Roshi anyway. I'm already stronger than him." "True," Roshi said. "Going with Bulma to Capsule Corp to train could give you a good opportunity to see a part of the world you haven't seen yet. But," the old man continued, "maybe you need a sparring partner while you're there training." "Sorry, old man," Bulma said. "You're not hanging out with us at Capsule Corporation." "I was talking about you taking Krillin," Roshi said. "You could use a training partner. It may help you get stronger faster. And I'm getting too old to be sparring all the time. Then maybe I'll have some time alone without Krillin and Kakarot cramping my style." "Well, if you're not going to have any students," Yamcha started, "can I come train with you? Maybe then I can get strong enough to beat Kakarot." "Well," Rashi began, "it might be a little cramped on the island." "No, it won't," Krillin said. "Yamcha can take my room. I'm going to train with Kakarot." "Fine," Rashi conceded. "I'll train you. If you get where you can beat the old man," Kakarot said, "come find me and we'll spar a bit." "You're on," Yamcha said. "Deep easy." Kakarot sat cross-legged meditating at Capsule Corporation. Him and Krillin had sparred earlier in the day, but the other warrior had tired out some hours ago. It had been a few months since he'd come to train at Capsule Corp, and he could feel that he was making progress, but not as much as he'd like. Unfortunately, he didn't have anyone to challenge him and push him to the limit. Sparring with Krillin was better than sparring alone, but it wasn't as good as facing someone equal to or better than himself. "Kakarot," Bulma said, bringing in a glass. "I brought you some water." "Thanks," Kakarot said, taking the glass and gulping the water down. "So," Bulma said, breaking the ice, "you seem to be getting stronger." She picked a topic that she thought the boy would like to talk about. And about all he had on his mind was fighting and training. "You certainly did a number on Krillin today." "Not really," Kakarot said. "I needed him to be able to spar tomorrow, so I went easy on him." "So," Bulma said, changing the subject, "I noticed earlier that someone is gathering the Dragon Balls." "What's that?" Kakarot said, getting up from where he was sitting and walking over to Bulma. Bulma pulled out the bleeper and clicked the button a few times. "Look, here's 4 of the Dragon Balls gathered together, and another 2 are moving toward them." "They're close to getting them all and making their wish then," Kakarot said. "Where's the 7th Dragon Ball?" "There's one not too far from here," Bulma said. "Then we should go and get a hold of that one and see who comes for it," Kakarot said. "It's not too far from here. We can get there pretty fast in a jet copter," Bulma said. "Deep easy." Yamcha stood by the sea panting after performing his 10th Kamehameha wave. "Very good," Rashi said. "You've made good progress in the month since you've been training with me." "Yeah, this training has been good," Yamcha said. "I feel stronger already." "I think it's time for you to take your training to the next level," Rashi continued. "All right," Yamcha said. "I'm ready." "For the next part of your training," Rashi said, "you need to travel to the land of Korin. Once you get there, you need to climb Korin Tower and get the sacred water from Korin. Once you drink the sacred water, you will be much stronger." Deep easy. Kakarot, Bulma, and Krillin landed in a clearing not too far from West City. "This looks like the place," Bulma said, looking at the bleeper. The Dragon Ball should be right ahead. It must be over by the base of that huge tower, Kakarot said as the three exited the jet copter that Bulma had brought. Kakarot was now dressed in his Saiyan battle armor just in case some trouble arose. So what's this all about? Krillin asked. Last thing he knew, he'd passed out after a sparring match with Kakarot. Then suddenly he'd woken up in a jet copter on the way out here. We're looking for a Dragon Ball here, so we can make sure no one evil is gathering them, Bulma said to the young fighter. So what's the plan? She said, looking to Kakarot. We go down there and get the Dragon Ball, Kakarot replied. Then we wait and see who comes for it. Sounds good to me, Bulma said, following the young Saiyan down a path toward the tower. Several minutes later, the travelers arrived at the base of the tower to see a single teepee resting in front of the tower. A tall Indian man and his young son greeted the visitors. I'm Bora. This is my son, Upa. What brings you here? The man looked suspicious, as if he were expecting trouble. We're wondering if you've had any visitors lately, Kakarot replied. You're actually the third group to come by here in the last few days. The first to come was a man seeking training from the great master Kurin. Training? Kakarot asked, suddenly interested. Yes, one of Master Roshi's students was sent here to climb Kurin Tower as part of his training. It is said if you reach the top of the tower and drink the sacred water, you will be many times stronger. Though it may only be a myth. I don't think anyone has ever reached the top. That must be Yamcha, Krillin said. He's the only student that Master Roshi has right now. What about the other visitors? Bulma asked. The others were men with guns, Bora replied. They were looking for this. He continued, holding up the 4-star Dragon Ball. That sounds bad, Krillin said. Yeah, Bulma agreed. Anyone that hires people with guns to come get Dragon Balls by force isn't up to any good. Suddenly something caught her eye. In the bushes was an army hat, and it had the Red Ribbon Army symbol on it. This is definitely not good, Bulma said. From the looks of the hat left behind, these men were part of the Red Ribbon Army, the most feared force on the planet. They will stop at nothing to get that Dragon Ball. Sounds like a challenge, Kakarot said. I say we stay here and guard the Dragon Ball and see if they send anyone strong to get it. What about the tower? Krillin asked. Do you really think climbing it will make someone that much stronger? I don't know, Kakarot said. If Master Roshi sent Yamcha here, it must have some benefit. We should climb the tower and drink the water then, Krillin said. Then we'll be strong enough to take on whatever this Red Ribbon Army can send. Wait, Bulma said, interrupting. What if they come while you're climbing this tower? All right, here's what we'll do, Kakarot said. He turned to Krillin. You climb the tower first, and I'll stay down here and guard the Dragon Ball. When you and Yamcha come back down, you two guard the Dragon Ball while I climb the tower. Sounds like a plan, Krillin said. Deep easy. Kakarot sat meditating quietly. It had been a week and a half since they'd arrived in the land of Kurin. Bora and Upa had gone about their lives for the most part like normal, while he had done some training, and Bulma had lived out of a capsule house for the most part. Krillin had started climbing Kurin Tower the day they had arrived and had not yet returned. He also hadn't seen Yamcha come down from the tower either. So far, he hadn't seen any more of the soldiers that had attacked Bora for the Dragon Ball. Bulma stared out of the window as she watched Kakarot outside meditating. It was kind of nice to get out away from the city for a bit. It was just like old times, searching for a Dragon Ball. Her thoughts were suddenly interrupted as a pillar with a man on it crashed into the ground outside of the capsule house. The man walked up to the teepee and Bora came out to meet him. What do you want? The large Indian man asked the newcomer. I have come for the Dragon Ball you have, the man replied. He was a bit shorter than Bora and not all that well built. He wore a pink robe that had a fighting dojo symbol on the front and the words "kill you" on the back. Over my dead body, Bora said. That's the idea, the man said. My employer specifically said to eliminate you. Who are you? Bora asked. I am Mercenary Tao, the man said, and I will be your end. You'll have to go through me first, Kakarot said, getting between the two. No, Bora said. This is my land to protect. I will fight to defend it. Kakarot hit the button on his scouter. Let's see, he thought. Bora's power level is 100, and this Tao guy is at 146. He turned to Bora. You can't beat him, the young Saiyan said. I have to try, Bora said. This is my fight, not yours. Bora charged at mercenary Tao with his spear and stabbed at the fighter. Tao simply grabbed the spear, not allowing it to move. Ah, you can't move it? How about I try? Tao picked up the spear Bora and shook them. A moment later, he sent Bora flying in the air. I think you lost this. Tao let fly with the spear at the Indian man. I don't think so, Kakarot said from above. What? Tao said in shock. How did you move so fast? I'm not going to let you walk all over people, the young Saiyan said, snapping the spear in half over his knee. He turned to Bora, who had since landed on the ground. I think I'll take over from here. I'll just have to kill you first then, Tao said. Doubtful, Kakarot replied. You're horribly outmatched. Do you even know who I am? Tao replied. I know that you're weaker than I am, Kakarot said. I am the most feared assassin in the world, Tao said as he charged Kakarot, throwing a flurry of kicks and punches at the young Saiyan, only to see the boy block every one of them. Tao backed away panting. How can you be so strong? Not used to having someone that is stronger than you, Kakarot taunted. You insolent child, Tao said. Just try and block this. Dodon Reha. The assassin shot a yellow beam of energy out of his fingertip right at the young Saiyan. Kakarot crossed his arms over his chest and braced for the assault. The beam hit the Saiyan head-on and exploded. No, Bora shouted and charged the assassin. You killed him. Tao blocked the punch that Bora threw at his head and delivered a deadly chop to the man's neck, ending Bora's life. Well, that takes care of that, Tao said. Now all I have to do is find the Dragon Ball. Not so fast, Kakarot said as the dust cleared from the attack. We haven't finished our fight. The young Saiyan looked to the side where Bora lay dead. I should have been able to stop him from dying, Kakarot thought. He turned to Tao. I won't let you kill anyone else. Try and stop me, Tao said. Without saying anything else, Kakarot charged forward and landed a knee in Tao's stomach, causing the assassin to double over. Not letting up for a second, Kakarot brought an elbow down on the back of Tao's skull. I'm going to finish this, Kakarot shouted, grabbing the assassin and throwing him up in the air. Kami, ha mi ha. Kakarot shouted, sending the blue beam of energy at his new enemy. The beam hit and carried Tao off into the distance before fading away. Kakarot collapsed to his knees panting. Are you okay? Bulma asked. Yeah, Kakarot said. I just overdid it a little. What if he comes back? Bulma asked. I doubt that, Kakarot said. I put everything I had into that last attack. I don't think he survived. Oh no, Bora, Bulma said, kneeling with UPA next to the Indian man. He's dead, the scientist said. No, UPA wailed. Don't worry, Bulma said. We'll get the other Dragon Balls and wish him back to life. Really? UPA said. Is that really possible? Yes, Bulma said. If you gather all 7 Dragon Balls, you can have any one wish. Chapter 12. Kakarot's eyes snapped open as his scouter beeped. 2 power levels are approaching, he thought. Hitting a button on the side, he got a reading. 160 and 180. This could be tough. Hey buddy, Yamcha said, landing behind Kakarot. The Saiyan turned to see him and Krillin land at the base of Korin Tower. So how'd the climb go? Kakarot asked, realizing the 2 power levels were his friends. It was excellent, Krillin said. I feel much stronger than before. Yeah, Yamcha added. Me too. Did we miss anything while we were gone? Krillin asked. Sorry it took so long, by the way. It only took us a week and a half, Yamcha said. It took Master Roshi 3 years. Well, Kakarot said, ignoring Yamcha and answering Krillin's question. An assassin from the Red Ribbon Army showed up for the Dragon Ball. Well, you must have beat him, Yamcha said. Yes, Kakarot said. But he killed Bora before I could defeat him. We need to gather the rest of the Dragon Balls to wish him back. Let's get to it then, Yamcha said. Not so fast, Krillin said. You know how much stronger we got from climbing the tower? Yeah, Yamcha said. Well, before we go, Krillin continued, we should wait for Kakarot to climb the tower and drink the sacred water. It might pay to have us all as strong as possible if we're going to take on an entire army. Excellent idea, Bulma said. Yeah, Yamcha agreed. Krillin and I should be able to handle anyone that comes for the Dragon Ball while you're gone. After you get back, we'll go beat all those red ribbon guys and get the Dragon Balls. All right then, Kakarot said. I'll try and hurry. With that, the Saiyan boy leapt up and grabbed onto the tower and started climbing it into the sky. Deep easy. Kakarot groaned as he continued to climb the tower. He'd been climbing for nearly 12 hours and had to admit he was starting to get tired. He didn't know how much farther he had to go. Looking up, he saw what looked like the tower expanding outward. Was that the top? Kakarot climbed up with renewed vigor. Reaching a small ladder, he climbed up into a small room. He had reached the top. Kakarot looked around but didn't see anyone. Walking over to a small staircase, he walked up to the next level, where he saw a small cat-like creature holding a staff. Well, hello, the cat said. You're the third visitor I've had this week. Are you after the sacred water too? Yes, Kakarot said. I know, the cat replied. I can read minds. I am Master Korin in case you hadn't figured that out yet. So, Kakarot said, where's this sacred water that I came up here for? It's right here, Korin said, holding up a pitcher of water on the end of his staff. All you have to do is get it. Kakarot charged at the cat, reaching for the sacred water, but Korin had moved out of the way so quickly that Saiyan boy couldn't get the bottle. You have to anticipate my movements, Korin said. You can't just react to what I do. Kakarot closed his eyes, clearing his mind and focused. He launched himself at Korin once again. The cat moved to dodge, only to find Kakarot already behind him. Kakarot drove a knee into the cat's back, sending Korin sprawling forward. The bottle flew out of Korin's hands and into Kakarot's waiting hands. You mean like that? The Saiyan said sarcastically as he opened the jug of water and started to drink it down. Very good, Korin said. Your old master took 3 years to get the sacred water. I thought your friends down there were doing really well when it took a week for them to get it. But 3 minutes is a new record. I don't really feel that much stronger, Kakarot said. Well, you shouldn't after drinking tap water, Korin said. Tap water, Kakarot said, surprised. Yes, Korin said. There is nothing special in the water. You got stronger from the act of climbing the tower, and getting the water have made you stronger. Climbing the tower has increased your endurance, and getting the water from me has increased your speed and focus. I don't really feel that much stronger, though, Kakarot said. Unfortunately, you were too strong for the training to have the full effect, Korin said. You were already strong enough that the tower wasn't much of a challenge for you. So you're saying I wasted my time? Kakarot asked. No, Korin replied. You still learned some focus and got a little stronger. That, and I have something for you that I have a feeling will make you much stronger in the long run. What's that? Kakarot asked. They are called sensa beans, Korin said, tossing a bean to the young Saiyan. If you eat them, your energy will be restored instantly, and you will be healed of all injuries instantly. That does sound useful, Kakarot said. With those I could train even harder without worrying about recovering. They do take some time to grow though, Korin said. So use them sparingly. I can give you 10 of them right now, but it may take some time to grow more. Thanks, Kakarot said, eating the bean that Korin had given him and taking the other 9 in a little pouch. Wow, the Saiyan said after eating the bean. I really do feel stronger now. Deep easy. Krillin and Yamcha looked up as they saw a dot falling rapidly from Korin Tower. A few minutes later, Kakarot touched down. Wow, Yamcha said. How'd you come down that fast? Oh, that, Kakarot said. It was easy, all I had to do was jump. That and use my energy to slow myself enough that I didn't go splat on the ground. You're back already? Krillin asked. It hasn't even been a full day. Well, Kakarot said. It wasn't that difficult to be faster than Korin. So you're done? Bulma asked. Yes, Kakarot said. You must be super strong to have climbed that far so fast, Bulma said, ogling slightly. Sure, Kakarot said with a smile. Turning more serious, he said. We need to go get those other Dragon Balls. Let's go then, Bulma said, encapsulating a jet copter. Deep easy. The last Dragon Ball is heading toward us, sir, one of the soldiers told Commander Red as he sat in his fortified compound. So the one who defeated Tao is coming for us, Commander Red said. Well, when he gets here, we'll have a few surprises for him. He turned to another aide. Ensure Dr. Gero is ready for our visitors. Deep easy. We're getting close. Yamcha said from where he was flying the jet copter. All right, let's see if I can distract them, Kakarot said, taking the Dragon Ball and getting out of the jet copter. I'll draw the fire from the defenses, the boy said. You two land outside the compound and work your way inside. Bulma, you stay with the jet copter. Kakarot flew toward the compound under his own power. Missiles flew up to stop the young Saiyan, but the boy flew faster than the missiles could, managing to dodge them before they could hit. Minutes later, Kakarot landed in the middle of the compound. Soldiers rushed out to shoot the young Saiyan, but Kakarot dropped every one of them with kicks and punches. Another group of soldiers approached, but were taken out from behind by Krillin and Yamcha. I see you made it, Kakarot said, turning to his two friends. Yeah, Yamcha said. I don't think they even noticed us coming in. They were paying all their attention to you when you were flying in. The three warriors continued to fight their way through the compound until they came to the command center. I'm impressed, Commander Red said as the three entered the command center. So which one of you defeated Mercenary Tao? That would be me, Kakarot said, stepping forward. Now hand over the Dragon Balls. Oh, I don't think so, Red said. You are all going to be begging me for mercy in the next few minutes. Kakarot hit the button on his scouter and laughed. Your power level is only 15. You don't stand a chance against me. Oh, I know I don't, Commander Red said. But I don't intend on fighting you. After you defeated Mercenary Tao, we figured we'd need a warrior that was more powerful. Unfortunately, we didn't have any warriors of such caliber. But we did have a brilliant scientist by the name of Dr. Gero. Dr. Gero had made many fighting machines for us in the past, some of which could maybe come close to Tao's level, but none of which could beat the mercenary. Commander Red grinned as he continued. Recently, Dr. Gero has started some research into a human/android hybrid. No one was willing to volunteer for his experiments, though. Does this have a point? Yamcha finally said, getting bored. I'm getting there, Commander Red yelled. Though with your defeat of Mercenary Tao, we had the perfect volunteer. You did quite the damage to the assassin, but with the help of Dr. Gero, he will now defeat all of you for me. A small door slid up and a form walked out. It had Mercenary Tao's features for the most part, but one arm was fully mechanical and other patches of metal scattered the killer's body. Now you will all die, Commander Red concluded. Mercenary Tao, finish off the intruders. Surprised to see me, I see, Tao said to Kakarot. You must have thought that I was dead after that last attack, and I very nearly was. Luckily, I was capable enough to make it back here, where the good Dr. Gero fixed me up and added some improvements. It won't be enough, Kakarot said. He hit the button on his scouter and waited. A few seconds later, he grimaced. The scouter was getting no reading on Tao. He didn't know how that was possible, but he didn't like it. The young Saiyan took a fighting stance, hiding any indication that he'd been caught off guard. Behind him, Krillin and Yamcha took similar stances. Tao moved like lightning, charging at Kakarot. His fist found itself in the young Saiyan's gut, doubling the boy over. Tao didn't let up from there. He sent an elbow into Kakarot's face, sending the boy flying back into a building. Wow, Yamcha thought. That guy is fast. I could barely see him move. A few seconds later, Kakarot picked himself up off the ground and wiped a trickle of blood from his mouth. Not bad, the young Saiyan said. You've gotten a lot stronger. This will be fun. You have no idea how outclassed you are, Tao said. Dr. Gero made many improvements when he patched me up. I'm not afraid of you, Kakarot said as he charged at Tao, throwing a flurry of kicks and punches at the cyborg. Tao blocked or dodged every one of them and started throwing some kicks and punches of his own. Kakarot tried to dodge the blows, but was unsuccessful. It was all the young Saiyan could do to block most of the blows to minimize the amount of damage done. How's he so strong? Kakarot thought as he continued to block punches, still clearly on the defensive. I can barely keep up with him. Kakarot's in trouble, Krillin thought as he watched the fight. I better do something. Krillin charged into the fray, adding some blows of his own, trying his best to coordinate with Kakarot's attacks. Yamcha immediately leapt in after Krillin and started adding attacks of his own against the cyborg. So it's 3-on-1, Tao said as he continued to block the three fighters' attacks. That just won't do. I want to exact my revenge on the boy without interference. Tao's fist shot out into Krillin's face hard, sending the young boy back. Not missing a beat, Tao sent a knee into Yamcha's stomach, doubling the bandit over. Having cleared out the interference, he continued his attack on the young Scion. Tao's fist moved like lightning, hitting Kakarot in the shoulder, sending the boy staggering back. Kakarot recovered quickly enough and sent a punch at Tao, connecting to the cyborg's chin. Tao barely flinched from the blow and continued to send attacks at the young Scion. "Now it's time to finish you off," Tao said, elbowing Kakarot away from him. "Dodon Ray," he shouted, sending a beam of yellow energy at Kakarot. The beam hit Kakarot full-on unguarded. The Scion was sent flying into a building where the bricks collapsed on him. "Wolf Fong Fist," Yamcha shouted as he charged Android Tao with his famous attack. Tao managed to block all the kicks and punches with practiced ease. The assassin counterattacked with some kicks and punches of his own, pummeling the teenage warrior with blow after blow. With one final attack to the back of the head, Yamcha was unconscious. Krillin stood in a defensive pose, having gotten up after he last attack from Tao. "He's incredibly strong," he thought. "How am I supposed to beat him?" Tao was in front of Krillin before the young boy could react. His fist moved almost faster than he could see and buried it in his stomach, dropping the boy to the ground. "Now to finish you off," he said, laughing. Chapter 13. Kakarot groaned as he pushed the rubble off of his bruised and battered body. "Now to finish you off," he could hear Android Tao saying as the assassin stood over Krillin's motionless body. "If only I could move," the boy thought, struggling to find the energy to save his friend. That last blast from Tao had taken a lot out of him. Kakarot's hand brushed against his stomach and came back up red. After a little examination, he saw that his armor was broken over his abdomen and he was bleeding profusely from a belly wound. "Guess I'm in no position to be much help." Suddenly a thought occurred to the young boy. Thinking back, he remembered how his cuts and bruises had all seemed to fade away when he'd eaten that bean that Karin had given him. "If I can only reach one of the other ones he gave me," Kakarot thought as he reached down and pulled a sense of bean from the pouch at his belt. Bringing the bean up to his mouth, the boy chewed and swallowed. Instantly, Kakarot's energy returned as his wounds disappeared, as if magic. The boy spread his arm, sending his energy outward, blowing the rubble, covering him out of the way. Tao looked up as he was about to crush Krillin's head into the ground. "What?" he thought. "How can that boy still be alive? I hit him with my best Dodon Ray with all the new power I've got." "Leave him alone," Kakarot said, floating to meet Tao head-on. "Or what?" Tao said, laughing. "You are no match for me. We've already proven that. But if you insist, I'll finish you off first. You do have a nasty habit of refusing to die." "You won't win this time," Kakarot said. He felt stronger than ever. This must be what his father meant about getting stronger after each tough fight or near-fatal beating. "You don't stand a chance against a true Saiyan warrior," he yelled as he charged Tao and drove a knee into the android's stomach. Tao spit out blood as Kakarot's knee connected with his stomach. Trying to recover, the assassin came around for an elbow to Kakarot's face, but the young Scion raised his forearm and blocked the blow with ease. "How'd you get so strong?" Tao said in disbelief. "I was just mopping the floor with you a second ago. You should be dead by now." "Funny things about Science," Kakarot said with a grin. "The more you beat us up, the stronger we get." The young Scion brought an elbow forward into Tao's face, copying the move that the assassin had just tried, but landing the blow with earth-shattering force. Tao backed away from the blow and shook the stars from his vision. It was inconceivable that this boy could be this strong. He had trained all his life, and the boy had bested him easily the first time they had faced off. He had even let Dr. Gero make him into one of his androids, which had made him almost twice as strong as before, and this boy was still beating him. He knew the good doctor was using the time he bought to get as far away from here as possible. The doctor would never stay and fight his own battles. It was more his style to plot from the shadows. Now, Tao thought, if I could only get away to plot with Dr. Gero. He knew the kind of improvements that Dr. Gero had added to him were impressive, but they were hurried. He could only imagine what the good doctor could do if he had time to fully develop his research. Tao was brought out of his thoughts by a kick to the chest that sent him sprawling back and taking his breath away. The blow was followed by an axe handle to the head. Tao went down hard, leaving a small crater in the ground. Kakarot floated over the fallen assassin. "You know, you could at least concentrate and give me a challenge." Tao fumed. The arrogance of the boy was infuriating. The assassin charged out of the crater and started throwing kicks and punches at the young Scion with everything he had. Kakarot laughed as he blocked all of Tao's punches and kicks. Is that all you've got? He asked. Tao backed away panting. I'll show you, he yelled. Dodon Ray. He shouted, sending the deadly beam toward Kakarot with everything he had. Kami, Hami Ha. Kakarot chanted, sending his own beam to meet Tao's attack. The Kamehameha quickly overcame the Dodon Ray and washed over Android Tao, leaving no trace of the assassin when the smoke cleared. That was amazing, Krillin said, pushing him to his feet. I thought we were goners. Yeah, Yamcha said, patting Kakarot on the back. Way to hold back and make the fight look good. I wasn't holding back, Kakarot said. But he was knocking the tar out of you earlier, Krillin said. How'd you suddenly turn it around? Well, Kakarot said. After he hit me with his beam, I thought I was dying. Then I ate one of these. Kakarot held up a senzu bean. It healed me and restored my energy. Can I try one? Krillin asked. Kakarot tossed his friend a senzu bean. Wow, I feel completely healed, Krillin said. But I don't feel any stronger than before. Oh, Kakarot said. That's because you're not a Saiyan. You see, when Saiyans get hurt bad by a stronger opponent, they are much stronger after they are healed. How does that work? Yamcha asked, doubtful. I'm not sure myself, Kakarot said. Must be genetic or something. DBZ. After a few minutes of searching, Kakarot, Yamcha, and Krillin managed to locate the remaining Dragon Balls. I don't see any sign of any more Red Ribbon soldiers, Yamcha said. Yeah, Krillin added. I guess they all fled when they saw Kakarot knocking the tar out of their super soldier. Can you blame them? Bulma said. She had joined them as soon as the fighting had stopped. I wouldn't want to be on Kakarot's bad side either. Let's get this over with, Kakarot said as he looked on the gathered Dragon Balls. Arise, Shenron. The sky darkened and lightning flashed all around. The lightning struck the Dragon Balls and took the form of a mighty dragon. You who have summoned me, Shenron said. Speak your wish and it shall be granted. We wish for Upa's father, Bora, to be revived, Bulma stated. It shall be done, the dragon said before disappearing, scattering the Dragon Balls to the far reaches of the globe. Before all the balls could scatter, Kakarot leapt up and caught one. Now, the boy said, if anyone wants to make a wish, they'll have to come see me first. So where you going now? Yamcha asked, turning to the young Saiyan. I figure I'll go back and hang out with Bulma, the boy said. Don't forget there's a tournament coming up in 3 years, the bandit reminded him. I definitely want a rematch. So you're going back to train more with Master Roshi? Bulma asked. Yeah, I think there's still a lot I can learn from the old man, Yamcha said. He turned to Krillin. You want to come back with me? I could use someone to spar against. Sure, Krillin said. I'm not much of a match for Kakarot anyway. I may stand a better chance against you and Master Roshi. DBZ. Sweat dripped down Kakarot's forehead as he finished his 10,000th push-up. Over the past few months, he had been training at Capsule Corp. Hey, strong guy. A voice interrupted his push-ups. Bulma walked into the room and smiled. She loved coming in and watching Kakarot train. How about you take a break for a little while? She said to the young Saiyan. Kakarot hopped to his feet and wiped the sweat off of his brow with a towel. What did you have in mind? Oh, I don't know, Bulma started. We could go for a walk in the park and then go get dinner. Kakarot's ears perked up at the mention of food. Yeah, he said, that sounds like fun. Then go take a shower and get some normal clothes on and we'll go, Bulma said, smiling at the young Saiyan. DBZ. 3 years passed quickly and the day of the tournament soon arrived. Kakarot stretched as he exited the jet copter. Turning back to the vehicle, he grabbed the hand that extended from inside and helped Bulma out of the jet copter. I wonder where everyone is, Bulma said, looking around. I'm not sure, Kakarot said, searching the crowd himself. I'm sure they'll turn up. Kakarot walked up to the registration desk. I'd like to enter the tournament, he told the attendant. All right, the man said. Can I get your name? Kakarot, the Saiyan stated flatly. Oh, the man said. You're the returning champion. I remember seeing you fight in the last tournament. You were awesome. Thanks, Kakarot said with a grin. There you are, Master Roshi said, coming up behind Kakarot and Bulma. Yamcha and Krillin stood beside the old master dressed in the traditional dress of the Turtle School. Long time no see, Yamcha said. I hope you've been training hard in the last few years. I've been doing some training, but not as much as I'd like, the boy replied. By not as much as he'd like, he means only about 10 hours a day, Bulma interjected. What have you been doing with all your time then? Krillin asked. Oh, Bulma said, blushing. We've been hanging out and spending some time together. So you guys are together now? Yamcha asked. Bulma's blush deepened. It's not like that. She started. Yes, Kakarot said. We're dating if that's what you're asking. Well, that ruins our fun, Krillin said. Yeah, it's only funny if he's embarrassed, Yamcha seconded. Well, a voice said from behind them. What have we here? The voice belonged to an old man in a martial arts uniform and a hat that had a giant crane on it. He and his two students, one tall and bald with three eyes wearing a similar martial arts outfit in the same colors and symbol, and the other short with a white painted face. It looks like Rashi and his band of losers. The only reason your pupil won the last tournament was because we weren't there. This year we'll all be entering to beat you and your school once and for all. With that, the three turned and left. Who was that? Krillin asked. That was Crane Hermit, Rashi replied. We were both students of the same teacher, but we had a falling out several years ago. What happened? Bulma asked. Well, Rashi said, Crane was a merciless opponent. He'd stop at nothing to win. He would abuse the power he had over others and bully people to get his way. But the real falling out came when his first student decided to start using what he'd learned to murder for hire. Wait, Kakarot said. Was his first student named Tao? Yes, Rashi said. He was also Crane's younger brother. He was as ruthless as his master. Yeah, we ran into him a few years ago, Yamcha added. Really? Rashi asked. Yeah, Krillin replied. He was working for the Red Ribbon Army, and Kakarot knocked the tar out of him. This can't be good, Rashi said, sobering. Crane and his students won't rest until they get revenge for this. Deep easy. Are you ready for a tournament? The announcer said into the microphone. We have an all-star lineup for you today. The preliminary rounds had gone by fairly quickly with no big surprises. Our matchups will be as follows. Yamcha versus Tien. Pam Put versus Master Rashi. Krillin versus Chaozu. Kakarot versus Master Shun. This promises to be a good tournament. Both the Turtle School and the Crane School have many members in this fight. Which school will turn out on top? Chapter 14. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer said, our first match is about to begin. In one corner, we have a returning tournament participant, Yamcha. Facing off against Yamcha today is a member of the Crane School of Fighting and student of the Crane Hermit, Tien. Yamcha stood facing Tien in the ring. He stared at the Triclops, trying to find a weakness in his stance. It was obvious that his opponent was skilled, but how skilled was still to be seen. Ready, fight, the announcer said. Yamcha and Tien shot at each other, throwing kicks and punches wildly. Both fighters dodged or blocked the punches from their opponents, neither one having a clear advantage over the other. Fists flew like wild as the two tested each other for weakness. Seconds later, the two separated. Not bad, Yamcha said, panting slightly. You're stronger than I expected, Tien admitted. Considering your training, I figured I could toy around with you. I see I'm going to have to try to win this. You talk too much, Yamcha said. You won't be able to stand a chance against my Wolf Fong wind attack. Bring it on, Tien said. Yamcha charged at Tien, enhancing his punches with his energy and throwing flurries of blows faster than ever. Tien tried to react, but was no match for the quickness of the blows. The Triclops was pummeled and sent flying back to land on his back on the other side of the ring. A few minutes later, the Triclops picked himself up and wiped a trickle of blood from his mouth. Man, I really didn't expect any of Rashi's students to be this strong. Is that all you've got? He said. I barely felt that at all. You don't lie very well, Yamcha taunted. Let's see how you like one of my techniques. Tien clenched his fists at his side and concentrated. Multiform, he yelled as his body split into 4 equal clones of himself, each on a quarter of the power of the original. The 4 Tiens shot to the 4 corners of the ring and all charged Yamcha from different directions, throwing kicks and punches like crazy. Yamcha managed to stay ahead of most of the blows, but some of them started to hit home, as the young warrior had to divide his concentration. He'd block a punch from one of the Tians only to have a kick from another connect. "Ladies and gentlemen," the announcer said, "it appears that Tien has split himself into four and is attacking Yamcha from four different directions." "I need to do something," Yamcha thought, "or this won't turn out good." "Kamehameha," Yamcha shouted, sending a blue beam of energy at one of the Tiens, sending it flying back. While the energy attack probably wasn't enough to do much damage, it did buy him some time. At least now he only had 3 Tiens attacking him, and he could handle that. One of the Tiens threw a punch at his face. Yamcha dodged and threw an elbow into that Tien's stomach, doubling him over. Before he could follow up on the opening, however, he was dodging an attack from another Tien. "It's time to finish this," Tien thought. All at once, all 4 Tiens brought their hands up to their faces. "Solar flare," they all shouted. In an instant, a blinding light flashed, causing Yamcha to no longer be able to see. The Tiens took this advantage to pummel the blinded warrior mercilessly. One of the Tiens sent an uppercut into Yamcha's stomach, sending the warrior flying into the air. Another one was above him before he could react, sending an axe handle into his back and sending him flying into the hard ground below. Tien instantly dropped the multiform technique and stood above Yamcha, who was lying on the stage below. Before Yamcha could get up, Tien dove down on the warrior, sending a foot into Yamcha's leg, causing the limb to snap with a sickening crunch. "Well," the announcer said, "it appears that Yamcha is unconscious and badly hurt. Being unable to continue the fight, Tien is the winner." Kakarot rushed out onto the stage and looked down on Yamcha. Checking the man's pulse, he realized that he was in fact still breathing. "Ah, how sweet," Tien said. "The losers care about their teammates." Kakarot stared daggers at the Triclops. "You are going to go down when you face me," the young Saiyan said. Tien laughed. "You really think so? If your friend couldn't beat me, what makes you think you can?" "I'm stronger and I won't fall for your tricks," Kakarot said. "You will lose. You gain nothing from breaking his leg. Your dirty tactics will not let you win the tournament." Deep easy. A few hours later, Kakarot, Bulma, Krillin, and Master Roshi stood around Yamcha's hospital bed. The warrior now had his leg in a cast. "Are you okay?" Bulma asked. "I'll be all right," Yamcha said. He turned to Kakarot. "I want you to promise you will beat him." "What about me?" Roshi said. "I'll fight him before Kakarot." "No offense, old man," Kakarot said, "but I wiped the floor with you last time, and I'm almost twice as strong as I was then. I'm more likely to beat him than you are." He turned to Yamcha. "I think this might make you feel better." He tossed the X-Bandit a senzu bean. Deep easy. "Now, ladies and gentlemen," the announcer started, "our next match is about to begin. In one corner, we have a man who needs no introduction. He's an action star and has won every tournament he's ever been in. You know him, you love him. He's Pam Put. Facing off against Pam Put is a legend in martial arts himself who was second place in the last tournament before losing to one of his own students, Master Roshi." "I'll make this quick," Pam Put said. "I won't waste more than 30 seconds of my time beating you." "Ready, fight," the announcer said, signaling the beginning of the match. Pam Put charged at Roshi, throwing a flurry of kicks and punches, but the old martial arts master dodged them all with ease, showing no concern over the match. 30 seconds quickly passed with Pam Put not connecting one blow on Roshi. "I thought you were going to beat me in 30 seconds, Roshi said as he shot a fist out and hit Pam Put in the breadbasket. The prize fighter and action hero went down unconscious. "Pam Put is out cold," the announcer said. "Master Roshi is the winner." "That was quick," Yamcha said. The ex-bandit was now in the stands watching the fights with his friends. The senzu bean had completely healed his leg. "Yeah," Kakarot said beside him. "Was there ever any doubt who would win this one?" "Not really," Yamcha admitted. "Next up we have Krillin versus Chaozu," the announcer said. Krillin stood facing the warrior, who was the same size as him. He didn't know how strong the other boy was, and was now wishing he'd paid a bit more attention to the other fighters' matches in the preliminary matches. "Ready, fight," the announcer said. Chaozu floated a few inches off the ground and flew toward Krillin and started throwing kicks and punches at the Turtle School student. Krillin blocked or dodged most of the blows with ease and shot a leg forward, connecting a hard kick to Chaozu's head, sending the young crane school student reeling back in pain. How's he so fast? Tien said to himself. He knew that Chaozu had been trying to end the fight quickly and hadn't been holding back much, and Krillin had not been fazed by the attack at all. Chaozu picked himself up off the ground and dusted off his uniform. That last kick had hurt, and he had not seen it coming. He'd only had that experience when he was sparring with Tien or the Crane Master himself. He didn't think anyone else out there could have touched him. Apparently, he'd underestimated these students of Master Roshi. Chaozu was jolted back to reality to see Krillin charging him with a punch ready. The young Crane student quickly pushed his energy below him and floated high up into the air to avoid the attack. Krillin stared up to see Chaozu floating above the stage. He'd seen Kakarot use his energy to fly before, but never learned the technique himself. Now he wished he had. He knew he had the strength to beat his opponent, but a jump attack was risky on an opponent that could fly. Dodon Ray. Chaozu shouted, sending a beam of yellow energy at Krillin. The young monk jumped out of the way of the blast with practiced ease. I see what his plan is, Krillin thought. He thinks he can hide up there and shoot me like fish in a barrel. That attack, Yamcha said to Kakarot. Isn't that the same one mercenary Tao used against you when you fought him? Yeah, Kakarot said. That's the one. What's that? Tien said, overhearing that part of the conversation. You fought Tao. Yes, that's right, Kakarot said. He was working for the Red Ribbon Army and tried to kill me. Let's just say he was unsuccessful. So you killed him? Tien asked. I don't know, Kakarot said honestly. I defeated him the first time, and he was modified into some kind of an android, then we fought again. I hit him with a Kamehameha wave, and when the smoke cleared, there was nothing left. So you murdered him, Tien said in accusation. No, Kakarot corrected. We engaged in combat, and he lost. You should know the difference. Tien turned and floated away, obviously angry. Did I hear right? Roshi asked. Did you really defeat Mercenary Tao? Yes, Kakarot said. You heard right, and I did defeat Tao. What's that got to do with anything? Yamcha asked. Tao is Master Shin's brother, Roshi said. And if you killed Tao, he and his pupils will rest at nothing to destroy you. They won't win, Kakarot said with a grin. They aren't just going to try and win, Roshi said. They'll want you dead. They won't succeed at that either, Kakarot said. Maybe they should ask Tao how that turned out for him. Back in the ring, another Dondon Ray shot at Krillin. The boy jumped out of the way again and cupped his hands at his side. K.A. me. H.A. me. H.A. he shouted, sending a beam of blue energy of his own up at his opponent. Chaozu floated barely out of the way of the attack, but the moment of inattentiveness was all Krillin needed. The young monk shot up into the air and brought a knee up under Chaozu's chin, sending the boy flying up out of control. Krillin, however, moved faster than the flying boy and came down with a double axe handle to the top of Chaozu's head, sending the boy flying hard into the ground outside of the ring. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer said into the microphone, it appears that Krillin is the winner of this match. Deep easy. Later that night, after a Saiyan-sized dinner with Bulma and the rest of their friends, Kakarot lay sleeping. His match wasn't until the morning, and even Saiyan warriors needed rest. Suddenly, the boy's eyes shot open. Something wasn't right. An instant later, a hand shot at him, intending to murder him in his sleep. Kakarot's hand shot up and grabbed the hand that had intended to do him harm. The owner of the hand was a ninja dressed entirely in a black suit covering everything but his eyes. Kakarot rolled to the side as another strike came from the mysterious warrior. Releasing the ninja's hand, Kakarot shot at the assassin with a kick to the chest that sent him flying through a window. The young Saiyan followed him through the window and floated slowly down to the ground. By this time, the ninja was up on his feet again and charging. Kakarot dodged a punch to his face and drove a knee up into the assassin's stomach, doubling him over. The warrior collapsed in a heap. Kakarot walked over and pulled the mask off the warrior to reveal Master Shun. So you resort to killing me in my sleep? Kakarot asked. It's what you deserve, Shun shot back. You killed my brother. I had no choice in that, Kakarot said. It was him or me. So you might as well kill me now, Shun said. No, Kakarot said. I'm not like you and your students. I've seen what happens when people like you are on top. I've trained my whole life to stop people like you and your followers. I'm not going to kill you. But just remember that I'm out here, and if you ever try and bully anyone else and I find out, I will be there to stop you. Tien watched from the bushes as Kakarot easily beat Shun. He was going to intervene, but then he'd heard what the young warrior was saying. He wasn't going to kill Shin, just embarrass him. Tien turned and slowly walked away with a lot on his mind. Deep easy. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer said, our next match is about to begin. Will the contestants please come to the stage? Kakarot stood on the stage waiting for his match to begin. Will Master Shin please come to the stage? The announcer said. After a few minutes of waiting, the announcer continued. Since Master Shun is nowhere to be found, the winner of the match is Kakarot. What happened to Master Shun? Chaozu asked. I don't know. Tien lied. I guess he didn't want to face us after what happened last night, he thought. Chapter 15. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer said, our next match will feature Tien, who dominated in his fight against Yamcha against the great Master Roshi. Both are very accomplished fighters, but only one can move on to the finals. As Tien faced Master Roshi in the ring, his mind raced. This was the man that had been a rival to his master. He'd been taught from childhood to dislike the man because his master didn't like him. But worse, yet he was the man who had trained the boy that had killed his mentor, Tao. But earlier he'd seen that same boy show mercy and let his master, Shun, run away in disgrace when he'd had every opportunity, and, Tien admitted, every right to kill the man. Let's begin, the announcer said. Tien pushed all thoughts aside and charged at Roshi, throwing kicks and punches faster than most of the audience could follow. The old martial arts master blocked or dodged every attack with the practiced ease that came with nearly a century or training. Not bad, Roshi said, but your blind hatred interferes with your concentration. You have so much potential, yet you waste it following Shun's petty teachings. Shut up, old man. Tien roared as he once again charged at Roshi with renewed vigor. Tien connected with a hard right fist to Roshi's face, sending the old man flying back. Not letting up for a second, the Triclops charged after Roshi, pummeling the old man with blow after blow before sending him flying into the stage tiles. A few seconds later, Roshi was back on his feet, dusting his fighting uniform off. You are indeed strong, he said, but you still have a lot to learn about martial arts. I'll show you, Tien said. I know more than you think. There isn't a technique I can't master. I've even mastered your techniques. Ka-ma-ha-mi-ha. Oh no, Roshi thought as he realized that the Kamehameha wasn't aimed at him, but at the crowd. I have no choice. I either have to get in the way of the attack or let him kill innocents. And he knows it. Roshi threw himself in front of the attack and crossed his arms in front of him to absorb the brunt of the attack. Seconds later, the smoke from the attack cleared, showing Roshi still standing. That was low even for one of Shun's students, Roshi said, panting. Whatever works, Tien said with a grin. So much potential, Roshi said. It's a shame you waste it. I could teach you a lot. Can it, old man? Tien said. Well, I've done all I can, Roshi said to himself. Now let's just hope some of it sinks in. The old man turned and walked toward the side of the ring. Without stopping, he hopped down into the grass. It appears that Master Roshi has exited the ring, the announcer said. That makes Tien the winner. Wow, Bulma said to Kakarot. You think Roshi gave up because he's afraid of Tien? No, Kakarot said. They seemed about evenly matched. I think Roshi could have at least held his own. He quit to send a message. And what message would that be? Yamcha interjected, still angry from having his leg crushed earlier in his match with Tien. That what he was trying to say wasn't for personnel gain. He didn't want Tien to think that he was simply trying to distract him for a victory. He wanted Tien to be sure he meant every word he said. Deep easy. Are you ready for the next match? The announcer said to the crowd. On one side we have Krillin, and on the other we have Kakarot. These two are both students of the same master, but only one of them can leave here victorious. Kakarot stood across from Krillin as he watched the other boy take on a fighting stance. Let's see what you can do, the Saiyan said with a grin. Krillin flashed a grin of his own. It had been nearly 3 years since the two had fought, and he had gotten much stronger. He had some surprises for the young Saiyan. Fight, the announcer said. Krillin shot at Kakarot, throwing kicks and punches at blinding speed. Unfortunately for him, Kakarot blocked or dodged them all with practiced ease. Seconds later, the two separated, Krillin panting and Kakarot breathing normal. He's still stronger than me, Krillin thought. No matter how strong I get, he's always stronger. I guess I'll have to try something sneaky. He cupped his hands at his side. Me? Me? H.A., he shouted as he shot the beam at Kakarot. You really think that's going to work? Kakarot asked as the beam came toward him. The young Saiyan raised a hand and backhanded the beam up into the air and safely away from everyone. Much to his surprise, Krillin was standing behind him, gripping his tail and squeezing. Do you really think that will work? Kakarot asked. I eliminated that weakness long ago. The young Saiyan brought an elbow down on Krillin's head, knocking him into the ring floor. Krillin slowly rose to his feet and wiped a trickle of blood from his mouth. I won't be defeated that easily, he shouted. So you want to go all out then? Kakarot asked. You were holding back? Krillin asked. Sorry, but this is boring me, Kakarot replied. I'm going to finish it. With those few words, Kakarot seemed to disappear from sight. Seconds later, he reappeared in front of Krillin and drove a punch into the young warrior's gut, doubling him over. Kakarot followed up with a chop to the back of the neck, dropping Krillin to the floor. It appears that Krillin is down, the announcer said. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Krillin is down. Kakarot is the winner. Kakarot walked over and helped Krillin to his feet. No hard feelings, he said. It's okay, Krillin said. You're the better fighter. Deep easy. The night passed quickly and without incident. The next morning had arrived, and it was time for the finals. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer said into the microphone, the moment you've all been waiting for has arrived. Tien and Kakarot will face off in the ring. Both fighters have breezed through their competition, and now we will see which one is the best. Tien stood across from Kakarot and stared down the young Saiyan. Just days before, the Triclops had wanted to kill the boy, but he had seen that the boy wasn't the ruthless killer as his master had told him. He had set out to kill the boy, but now all he wanted to do was win. Ready, fight, the announcer said. In an instant, the two fighters shot at each other, throwing kicks and punches at lightning speed. Kakarot's fist found its way into Tien's stomach, doubling the Triclops over. Kakarot followed up with a knee to the face, sending Tien flying into the statue. The cement gave way as the fighter hit it and crumbled under the falling stones. Seconds later, Tien crawled out from under the stone and stood. Not bad, he said, wiping some blood from his mouth. But you don't stand a chance of winning this. I doubt that, Kakarot replied. I'm just getting warmed up. Multiform, Tien shouted, splitting into 4 Tiens. All 4 of them charged at Kakarot, throwing punches and kicks at the young Saiyan in a coordinated fashion. Unfortunately for the Triclops, none of the punches landed. Kakarot shot a foot out, catching one of the Tiens in the face, causing it to fall to the ring and disappear. He disappeared, leaving only an after image for another Tien's fist to go, though, as he reappeared behind the warrior. Bringing an axe handle down on the Tien's head, he sent that one down to the ring to disappear like the other one. The last remaining copy of Tien disappeared as the Triclops realized that it was useless to continue to try and use the multiform technique against Kakarot. Not bad, Tien said, but you won't be able to beat this one. I suggest you dodge if you want to live. Tien floated up into the air and formed a triangle with his hands and concentrated. Tri-beam HA, he shouted, sending an enormous amount of energy down at the young Saiyan. When the smoke cleared, the ring was completely destroyed and Kakarot was nowhere to be seen. Where's Kakarot? Bulma asked. He can't be gone, she continued, sniffling. Look, Rashi said, pointing up in the air where Kakarot floated across from Tien. I see you decided to dodge, Tien said. But you know now you can't win. When you hit the ground, you will go out of bounds. You're not the only one that can fly, Kakarot said dryly. I can stay up here all day. We'll see who can stay up here longer then, Tien said. I think I'll finish this now, Kakarot said, using his energy to shoot at Tien, throwing a punch at Tien's head. Tien barely blocked the blow and grimaced. While he could use the air dancing technique to levitate his body, this boy had taken it a step further and could completely control his body in the air as well as on the ground. Tien's thoughts were interrupted as Kakarot sent a knee up into his face and brought an axe handle down on his head, sending him flying into the grass, where he hit hard, creating a small crater. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the announcer said. Kakarot has retained his title and is still the world champion. Kakarot floated to the ground and reached a hand out to Tien. You did well, he said. You have a lot of good techniques. Maybe we could train together sometime. Tien couldn't help but smile. As much as he hated the young boy for what happened to Tao, the boy was strong and not the murderer that his master had said he was. Tao must have left him no choice but to kill him. Sure, Tien said. Let's go get some food to celebrate, Yamcha said. That sounds good to me, Kakarot seconded. He paused for a second. Just let me run and get my armor and the Dragon Ball I've got in my locker first. It's all right, Bulma said. I'll grab it for you, lover boy. You've earned the rest. Kakarot grinned. Thanks, he said. Minutes later, they were all in the restaurant sitting at a table. Kakarot was inhaling food like he hadn't eaten in years. Suddenly, the Saiyan's eyes widened. Bulma, he suddenly said as he shot up from the table in mid-bite, leaving the food and his friends behind. What's with him? Krillin said. I don't know, Yamcha said, but he seemed serious. Let's follow him. DBZ. Kakarot arrived in the locker he had rented to find a horrifying sight. Bulma lay on the floor in a pool of blood. No, Kakarot yelled. Bulma, talk to me. The girl remained lifeless. Is she all right? A voice said from behind Kakarot. The young Saiyan turned to face the tournament announcer. What happened? Kakarot asked. A monster came, he said. It confronted the girl and demanded something. When she refused, it killed her and took off with some ball and a list of all the martial artists. The Dragon Ball, Kakarot said. I'll avenge you, he said, looking to Bulma. Then wish you back with the Dragon Balls. He checked Bulma's body for the dragon radar, then noticed it was missing. What happened? Rashi asked as the gang entered the area and seeing Bulma's body. She's dead, Kakarot said. What's this? Chaozu said, picking up a piece of paper with a symbol on it. Rashi looked at the paper and paled. It's King Piccolo. Who's King Piccolo? Tien asked. It's a long story, Rashi said. The old master then began to recount the story of King Piccolo. DBZ. When Master Rashi had finished telling of King Piccolo's defeat, he sighed. After my master trapped King Piccolo with the evil containment wave, I thought that he'd be gone for good, but it appears he is back again. Kakarot finished putting on his armor and fixed a scouter to his eye. Well, he won't be around for long, he said. I will finish what your master started. Wait, Rashi said. You're still weak from your fight to face King Piccolo. No offense, Kakarot said, looking toward Tien, but I barely broke a sweat in that fight. He took a senzu bean from the pouch at his side and put it in his mouth. But I'll take this just to be sure. Chapter 16. Kakarot clicked his scouter. There were several decently high power levels heading away from the area. That didn't really surprise him since most of this planet's best fighters had been in attendance to this tournament. He wished that whatever beast that had killed Bulma hadn't taken the dragon radar too. Having that little device would have made it much easier to track down his girlfriend's killer. The young Saiyan grimaced at not having a clear lead and took off after the closest of the retreating powers. DBZ. King Piccolo sat atop of a giant throne in Emperor Pilaf's airship. Before him stood the little blue emperor and his two lieutenants, Chao and Mei. Has Tambourine returned yet? Piccolo asked. He should be back soon, Pilaf answered. There's a Dragon Ball headed our way. Excellent, King Piccolo said. Soon everything will be as it should. Your Excellency, Pilaf started. Since I have fished you out of the sea and freed you, when you used the Dragon Balls to rule the world, I was wondering if I could have half. The little emperor hesitated, knowing how powerful King Piccolo was rumored to be. I mean a third, or a quarter, or some nice swamp ground somewhere. You fool, Piccolo said, ignoring the little emperor's antics. I don't need the Dragon Balls to rule this pathetic planet. Then what are you going to use them for? Pilaf asked. I will wish for eternal youth, Piccolo answered. I will rule this planet for all eternity. Before Piccolo could go on any more about his plan, Tambourine entered holding the 4-star Dragon Ball. So you have returned, Piccolo said. Yes, my master, Tambourine replied. I have one of the Dragon Balls and a device to track down more of them. Excellent, Piccolo said. Did you get the list of the martial artists as well? Yes, master, Tambourine said. I have the list. Excellent, Piccolo continued. Then your task is to hunt down and destroy these fighters. Sire, Piano interrupted. Would it not be wiser to hunt down the Dragon Balls first? You aren't getting any younger after all. You are correct, Piccolo said. With this little device, it won't take long at all to find the Dragon Balls. We also have a bigger version of that on our ship, Pilaf interjected. Then I shall need 2 more servants, Piccolo said. My master, Piano interjected. Are you sure you are strong enough to create 2 more servants? It matters not, Piccolo said. When I have the Dragon Balls, I will be forever young. With that said, Piccolo started concentrating. A few seconds later, his throat convulsed, and 2 eggs came out of his mouth. When those eggs hatched, 2 winged creatures that looked Namekian in nature, but horribly mutated came out of them. I will call them Cymbal and Drum, Piccolo said. Now go and find the Dragon Balls for your master. Kill any who get in your way. Deep easy. Kakarot landed outside a martial arts dojo. He'd been tracking large power levels for the last 2 days and had yet to find Bulma's killer. However, on the last stop he'd made, he'd found the corpse of Bacterium. He remembered the stinky fighter from the tournament before this one. Piccolo must be trying to stomp out any possible threats to him. He walked inside the martial arts dojo. It was an all-too-familiar scene. Their King Choppa, one of the opponents he'd faced in the preliminaries of this tournament, lay dead, surrounded by his students. He checked his scouter again and saw that there was a high power level heading away from here. That one has to be the one, he thought. Taking to the air, he shot out in hot pursuit. Deep easy. Tambourine smiled as he landed in the middle of a big boxing ring. He really did enjoy his work. His latest target had just finished a match against a weaker opponent. Pam Put was the name on the sheet, and he would enjoy this one. The monster dived at the boxer-turned-movie star with a killing strike. Before the strike could land, though, an arm stopped the monster's own. The arm belonged to another fighter. This one Tambourine recognized as the 2-time champion of the World Martial Arts Tournament. The beast smiled at this interruption. He knew that this fighter would be one of the toughest on the planet, and his master would greatly reward him for killing him. The monster swung his other fist around to strike the interloper in the face, hopefully ending this quickly. Kakarot caught the monster's fist and grinned. You'll pay for what you did to Bulma, he said. Ah yes, the girl at the tournament. Her screams were delightful as I ended her pathetic life. You'll suffer for that, Kakarot said as he drove a fist into Tambourine's stomach. The beast doubled over in pain like he had never experienced before, and the thought occurred to him that he may be messing with the wrong person. Kakarot brought a knee up and drove it into Tambourine's face, sending the monster sliding across the ring. The Saiyan didn't let up for a second and shot forward, grabbing the monster and throwing him high up into the air. This is for Bulma, he shouted as he cupped his hands and shot a Kamehameha wave up at the monster. The beam hit Tambourine with crushing force, melting though the creature's skin and severing vital organs. Kakarot sighed. He had avenged his love, but he still needed to stop the one who had unleashed this monster on the world. The problem was he had no idea where to find him. He hit the button on his scouter, and no power levels in the immediate area seemed to be very high. The Saiyan shrugged. I guess all I can do is wait, he thought. Deep easy. Piccolo felt Tambourine's life force suddenly fade away. The Namekian faltered as if physically affected by his minion's death. Tambourine's dead, he said. We need to hurry. It's okay, master, Piano said. Drum is on his way back with the last Dragon Ball. There's nothing to stop you from making your wish. As if summoned by the mentioning of his name, Drum entered the airship with the last Dragon Ball. Excellent, Piccolo said. Put the ship down. I have a wish to make. Right away, Your Excellency, Pilaf said as he ordered the ship to be set down. Several minutes later, King Piccolo exited the ship with Cymbal and Drum in tow. Seconds after that, the 2 minions scattered the 7 Dragon Balls at his feet. Arise, dragon, Piccolo said, and grant me my wish. The sky darkened and lightning flashed. One of the bolts struck the Dragon Balls and took the form of the mighty dragon, Shenron. You who have summoned me, the dragon said, I will grant you one wish. I wish to be eternally young, Piccolo shouted. It shall be done, Shenron replied. With a flash of light, Piccolo suddenly changed from the frail creature he had been to a young and vital Namekian warrior. Before the dragon could disappear, Piccolo shot a blast at Shinron, destroying the it and preventing anyone from making another wish. "Now no one can stop me," he laughed. Deep easy. Kakarot watched the news station on the television at Master Roshi's house. After he had failed to locate anything on his scouter, he figured it would be more efficient to wait for Piccolo to show himself than to fly all over looking for him. After all, if he'd sent Tambourine out to finish the martial artists off, then they would eventually come here to attack the Turtle Hermit. Either that or he'd see something on the news about the monster. From what Rashi had told him, it was unlikely that Piccolo would remain hidden for long. "We interrupt this regularly scheduled program for some breaking news," a voice said from the TV. "People of Earth," Piccolo said as the picture changed on the TV to show the now young Namekian. "There is a new world order. My order. Murder is no longer illegal. It is encouraged. Rape, theft, assault, battery, and pillaging will be the normal of the day. All will answer to my rule. Anyone who tries to stop me will be destroyed." Kakarot turned away from the TV and headed for the door. "Where are you going?" Rashi asked. "He was in the capital," Kakarot said, "in Chao Palace. I'm going to go stop him." "Alone?" Rashi inquired. "Yes," Kakarot said. "I don't think there's any of you that are strong enough to stop him." "I'll go with you," Krillin said. "We can fight together." Kakarot's scouter suddenly beeped. Two power levels were heading in their direction fast. They were both equal to Tambourine's. The Saiyan laughed. They would get a surprise if they came here. There were at least 4 fighters in this house that were stronger than Piccolo's minions. "No, stay here," Kakarot said. "There's trouble headed this way. By the looks of it, it's 2 of Piccolo's minions. You, Tien, and Yamcha should be able to handle them. I'm going after Piccolo." "Are you sure you're strong enough?" Yamcha asked. "I've scanned as far as my scouter will reach for the highest power level I can find and haven't found one higher than mine," the boy replied. "If you get too bored after taking out Piccolo's freaks, then you can follow, but I'm going to end this now." Deep easy. Cymbal and Drum landed on Rashi's island to see 4 fighters standing in front of the house. One of them looked their way and then shot into the air in the other direction, while the other 3 took fighting stances. After Tambourine had failed to return, Piccolo had ordered the 2 to go out together to finish off the martial artists, starting with where the most powerful were likely to be. They, however, had not expected to find 4 of the most powerful fighters in the world at one location. One of those 4 had probably killed Tambourine. Before the 2 monsters could organize an attack, Krillin shot forward with a kick, sending Cymbal flying back into the sea. Drum shot at the boy warrior with a kick of his own in retaliation, but was knocked out of the air by Yamcha's fist. "How about you play with me?" the young bandit said. Tien simply stood and watched the 2 fight. While Yamcha was not as skilled as he was, both the bandit and Krillin were stronger. Besides, he'd intervene if he were needed. No reason to not let his new friends get some good practice in. Cymbal shot up from the water and sent a fist flying at Krillin. "I'll kill you," he shouted, but he saw his fist only hit after image. Krillin reappeared behind the monster and brought an axe handle blow down on the monster's head, sending it back down into the depths of the ocean. Drum threw a flurry of kicks and punches at Yamcha, but the bandit stayed ahead of all the blows, not taking any damage. Kakarot had been right. Theseus monsters weren't as strong as they had originally feared. In fact, they were pretty weak compared to himself and Krillin. Yamcha's musings cost him as a clawed fist connected with his face and sent him flying back. Rolling with the blow, Yamcha shot back at the monster and sent a fist into the beast's face. "Time to stop fooling around," he thought. "Wolf Fang Fist," he shouted as he pummeled the monster with blow after blow, cracking bones with each strike. When the attack was over, the monster collapsed in a heap and lay still. "He's dead," Tien said, walking up behind Yamcha. "Good work." "We should help Krillin," Yamcha said. "I don't think he'll need it," Tien said. Krillin concentrated, and a ball of energy appeared in his hand. He had had the idea for this attack a while ago, but hadn't had a situation where he could use it. It wasn't suited for a tournament after all, as it would be incredibly lethal if performed correctly. He spun his arm around in a circle above his head and watched as the energy ball flattened and began spinning in a disc. "Destructo disc," he shouted, hurling the spinning disc at Symbol as he rose from the ocean. The disc hit the monster in the arm and cut deeply into the flesh, but then dissipated. Krillin sighed. His attack wasn't perfected yet, but he was making progress. At least it had cut into something this time. A voice interrupted his musings. "Try beam, huh?" Tien shouted, engulfing the monster in a wave of golden energy, permanently ending Symbol's existence. "Sorry," Tien said, walking up to Krillin. "I figured Kakarot may need us even if he says he doesn't, and I couldn't let you toy around with this one all day. But that was a good attack. When it's perfected, I'd hate to be on the receiving end of it." "Thanks," Krillin said. "Deep easy." Kakarot landed outside of Chow Palace. "Piccolo," he shouted, "come out and face me." A second later, the tall Namekian walked out. He grinned. "So you're the one who killed Tambourine?" "Yes, that would be me," Kakarot said. "And now I'm going to kill you for what your minion did to Bulma." "You don't know what you're dealing with," Piccolo boasted. "I know you think you're strong, but you stand no chance against me." Kakarot hit a button on his scouter. 260, he said, laughing. "I think it's you who has no idea who you're dealing with." Piccolo laughed. "I've terrorized this planet for years, boy," he said. Suddenly his rant was interrupted as he doubled over. Symbol and Drum had just been destroyed. But how? The Demon King had no time to consider the matter further as he was brought out of his thoughts as Kakarot's fist collided hard with his face, sending him flying across the courtyard. Several people standing around the palace cheered as the boy knocked Piccolo through a wall. "Shut up," the Demon King shouted, sending a blast at the bystanders. Kakarot appeared before the blasts and swatted them away. "Your fight's with me," he said before charging back at the Namekian and throwing a flurry of kicks and punches at him. Every one of the blows landed with devastating force. Kakarot continued the onslaught, beating the demon mercilessly. Purple blood shot from Piccolo's mouth as Kakarot buried his fist in the Demon King's stomach. "Now to finish you off," Kakarot said, cupping his hands at his side. Piccolo knew this was the end. The boy was simply too powerful for him to defeat. He hadn't thought it was possible, but he was about to die. He focused all his energy into creating one last egg, instead of another minion. This one was to contain his entire essence. It would be an offspring that would one day carry on his legacy. "Kami, ha mi ha," Kakarot shouted, putting all his energy into the blast that would end the Demon King's short reign. Piccolo spit out the egg, sending it as far as he could with the message of "kill Kakarot" before the blue beam overtook him. Kakarot sighed. It was over now. All he had to do is revive Bulma, and everything would be back to normal. Chapter 17. Kakarot landed on Rashi's island. After the fight with Piccolo, he'd located the dragon radar with the few items that the demon had left behind. Unfortunately, nothing had been showing up on the radar. Someone must have made a wish. Now he would have to wait a year before he could wish Bulma back. The Saiyan sighed and walked toward the house. "You're back," Tien said as the boy entered the house. "You're all over the news as the one that killed Piccolo. It's amazing how strong you are." "Yes, Kakarot is quite an amazing fighter," a voice said from behind Kakarot. "He's my most promising student after all." Kakarot turned to see Karin standing in the doorway. "What brings you here?" he asked. "You're not one to leave your tower." "I know," Karin replied. "I need to get an errand, boy. But, getting to why I'm here. Kakarot, Kami wants you to come and train with him." "Kami?" Yamcha asked. "As in the Guardian of Earth?" "Yes, that would be the one," Karin said. "Sorry," Kakarot said, "but I have other things to do. I have to wish Bulma back." "Kami said it was very important," Karin insisted. "Besides, when Piccolo made his wish, he destroyed the Eternal Dragon." "What?" Kakarot said in shock. "Kami is the only one who can revive the Eternal Dragon," Karin said. "You'll have to go and see him on his lookout if you want to wish back your girlfriend." Kakarot tossed the dragon radar to Yamcha. "If the Dragon Balls become active, gather them and wish Bulma back." "Sure thing," Yamcha replied. "Deep easy." Hours later, Kakarot stood at the top of Korin's tower. "So, where's this Kami?" he asked. "Well, if you go straight up from this tower, high up into the air is Kami's lookout," Karin replied. Without further conversation, Kakarot jumped out of the tower and shot high up into the air, flying toward where Kami's lookout was supposed to be. Deep easy. After a long flight, Kakarot landed on top of a floating bowl-shaped platform in the sky. This must be Cammy's lookout, he thought. Well, I suppose I should find this Cammy. He walked forward a bit more and saw a black genie floating on a magic carpet. Hi, the genie said. I'm Mr. Popo. Cammy has been expecting you. Where is he? Kakarot asked, anxious to get the guardian to bring the dragon back so he could wish back Bulma. Before you can see Cammy, Popo said, you need to pass the test. Test? Kakarot asked. What test? You have to hit Mr. Popo. Popo replied. Kakarot hit the button on his scouter. 300, he said. Not bad, but this won't be much of a challenge. Kakarot charged at the genie, but before his fist could land, Popo disappeared and reappeared behind him, landing a fist to the back of Kakarot's head. The blow didn't have enough force to actually hurt the Saiyan, but it still surprised him. Kakarot turned and started throwing a flurry of kicks and punches at the genie, but Popo managed to dodge the blows with ease. How? Kakarot asked. Your attacks are clumsy, Popo replied. Your movements are obvious. You give yourself away before you strike. Kakarot grimaced and renewed his attack with more determination than before. Unfortunately, for the young Saiyan, Popo still remained ahead of the attacks. You must be as calm as the air but quicker than lightning, Popo said. What does that mean? Kakarot said. You must clear your head and see my movements with more than just your eyes. Then you will begin to anticipate my movements. Then you must move in an efficient manner, wasting no energy. Kakarot nodded, finally understanding what the genie was saying. He closed his eyes and cleared his mind. In his mind's eye, he could almost see Popo in front of him. He breathed deeply and waited for the right moment. A split second later, his arm shot out and into Popo's stomach, doubling the genie over. Very good, a voice said from the shadows. A minute later, a tall Namekian walked out. He looked almost exactly like King Piccolo. Kakarot tensed, but then realized that this wasn't actually Piccolo. You must be Cammy, he said. Yes, Cammy replied. I see you have surpassed my expectations. I didn't expect you to actually be able to touch Popo for quite some time. It's not much difference than the training with Corinne, Kakarot said. Although I think Popo can almost read my mind and anticipate my movements. You are correct, Cammy said. He can read your movements before you do them if you think too much. He can also feel where you are by feeling your energy. I can teach you to do all of these things. But you must promise me something first. What's that? Kakarot asked. You must promise to remain here and train with me for the next 3 years, and also to use what you learn here to be Earth's protector. I'm tempted, Kakarot said, but all I'm here for is to get the Dragon Balls fixed so I can wish back a friend. I will fix the dragon if you stay here and train, Cammy said. Your friends can wish back Bulma. Why are you so interested in my training? Kakarot asked. You have great potential, Cammy said. There is also a threat that will be here in 3 years. It will manifest at the next World Martial Arts Tournament. Piccolo, Popo said. No, Cammy replied. While Piccolo did have an offspring, I am not concerned with that. Kakarot, through normal training, will be more than strong enough to keep Piccolo in check. The threat I'm talking about is much more powerful. He turned to Kakarot. I believe it will be a henchman of the one you call Frieza. What do you know of Frieza? Kakarot asked. Not much more than you do, honestly, Cammy replied. I know that he destroyed your people, and your father sent you to Earth to escape the fate of your people. I believe he may have been discovered by one of Frieza's spies. From what I can glean of the future, he will send a warrior to the planet with the orders to find and destroy you. How strong is he? Kakarot asked. I honestly don't know, Cammy replied. My powers as guardian sometimes lets me see threats coming, but not really clearly. What is known is that if you are to protect this planet, you need to start reaching your true potential. I have designed a training program, taking what is known about your heritage into account. So I will once again ask if you will stay up here and train for the next 3 years. Kakarot grimaced. While he desperately wanted to see Bulma again, he knew that it was his responsibility to protect this planet, especially if Frieza was involved. After all, if what the Guardian had said were true, it was him that led the threat here. All right, he finally said. I'm in. Good, Cammy said. Popo fetched the dragon model so it can be repaired. Deep easy. Kakarot focused his mind, drawing in on himself in a deep meditation. For the past year, he had been training up on Cammy's lookout. Most of the training so far had been more mentally than physically challenging. That didn't surprise the young Saiyan since he was already stronger than both the guardian and his servant. At first, Kakarot had wanted to continue his sparring with Mr. Popo, but Cammy had said that the boy need to focus inward before he could truly become powerful outward. A presence appeared behind him. The person was absolutely silent, but Kakarot had learned to sense energy, so it was no surprise when Popo spoke. Cammy has a new test for you. Kakarot's eyes shot open, and he rose to his feet. Test? He asked. Cammy thinks you are mentally ready to start the next phase of your training, Popo replied. We will be going into the pendulum room. What's the pendulum room? Kakarot asked. It is a room that bends the fabric of space and time, Popo replied. Inside it are shadows of the past and present from many different places in the universe. So it's a portal somewhere? Kakarot asked. Sort of, Popo replied. You will not physically leave anywhere, but your spirit will be transported to a new destination and fight an opponent. It will seem like you will be there, and if you get hit, you will feel the blows as if they were real. So who am I fighting? Kakarot asked. I figured we'd start with a member of your own race, Cammy said, coming up beside Popo and Kakarot. A Saiyan, Kakarot said, excited. Yes, Cammy said. Let's get started then, Kakarot said with genuine excitement in his voice. The boy followed Popo and Cammy into a strange room with clocks all over the floor, walls, and ceiling. Minutes later, Popo and Cammy exited and closed the door. Lights flashed, and the landscape around Kakarot warped into an arid wasteland. In the distance, Kakarot could sense several large power levels, and one that seemed much closer. What have we here? A gruff voice said from behind Kakarot. Why aren't you with your mission team? Kakarot turned to see a tall man wearing armor that wasn't all that much different than his own. The armor was white with red shoulder and thigh pads. A scouter covered his eye, and his black spiky hair stuck out in all directions but went down to about his shoulders, while Kakarot's was fairly short. The man's tail was wrapped neatly around his waist, similar to Kakarot's. I'm just exploring, Kakarot said in response to the man's question. You filthy whelp, the large Saiyan said. I'll teach you to disobey orders. The man's fist shot at Kakarot quicker than any he had ever seen in his life. Kakarot anticipated a blow coming and barely go out of the way in time to avoid having his face smashed, but on the next blow, he wasn't as lucky. The large Saiyan's knee slammed into Kakarot's gut, causing spit and blood to shoot out involuntarily. Kakarot gasped at how much the blow hurt. He had never been hit so hard in his life. But he had been hit before and knew he had to respond. While the older man was still laughing, Kakarot put all the energy he had into an uppercut and caught the other Saiyan square on the chin. The man's head tilted upwards, but the brute was otherwise unaffected. Kakarot cursed at the ineffectiveness of the blow. How strong is this guy? He thought. Before he could think anymore, the other Saiyan was throwing a flurry of kicks and punches at the youth. Kakarot cleared his mind and focused on blocking the incoming attacks, and managed to block some of the blows. Unfortunately for him, the blows were just too numerous and too fast to anticipate them all, and soon enough one landed hard in his face and sent him sprawling across the landscape into a cliff face. Kakarot removed himself from the rubble and charged back at the larger man and shot an energy-enhanced fist at the man's stomach, but the blow was caught before getting anywhere close to landing. The man grinned as he squeezed Kakarot's fist, hearing a satisfying crunch. Kakarot winced in pain as his hand was crushed. The other Saiyan, however, never let up for a second and continued to mercilessly beat the boy until everything went dark. Deep easy. Kakarot awoke on the floor of the pendulum room, sweating and sore. Everything had felt so real in there. He quickly examined himself and found that nothing had been broken. You did well, Cammy said, coming into the room. What do you mean I did well? Kakarot responded, I got the crap beat out of me. That's not surprising, Cammy replied. After all, the opponent you were fighting was nearly 3 times stronger than you. What? Kakarot said. How was I supposed to win against someone so strong? You weren't, Cammy said. The point of this exercise was to show you what it's like to have to fight someone stronger than you. Cammy cleared his throat before continuing. You haven't ran into that much on this planet. No one here can challenge you to the extent needed. So you want me to keep training in here? Kakarot asked. No, Kami said. The point of this exercise was to test your skills and to get the point across that there are beings out there that are much stronger than you. That was a low-class Saiyan warrior. There are many out there that are much stronger than the one you faced. Like Frisia, Kakarot said with ice in his voice. Yes, Kami said. Frisia is unimaginably strong. He destroyed the entire Saiyan race, beings mostly stronger than the one you fought, without any effort. Kami stared into the young Scion's eyes. The point of this exercise is for it to sink in what we're up against. Any one of Frisia's men could be as strong or stronger than the warrior you faced. So you want me to keep training in there until I can beat him then? Kakarot asked. No, Kami said. If you haven't noticed, the pendulum room has little effect on the physical world. What do you mean? Kakarot asked. Remember when you were beat up by Android Tao? Kami asked. When you healed from that, you were much stronger. Yes, Kakarot said. It's a Saiyan trait. We get stronger after every battle. Yet you fought a much stronger opponent in the pendulum room and got no stronger, Kami stated. It dawned on Kakarot. Since the pendulum room wasn't real, his power hadn't risen from the fight, even though in there he'd been almost beaten to death. I see, Kakarot said. So, Kami continued, I want you to continue learning to focus your mind with Mr. Popo. But I want you to increase your training. Are you familiar with the multiform technique? Somewhat, Kakarot said. Tien used it against me in the last tournament, but it failed to work since each copy was weaker, and even teamed up, I could easily keep up with them. Yes, Kami said, but I want you to use that technique to be your own opponent when you spar. Popo and I cannot keep up with you, but if you spar with the multiform, you will have an opponent of equal strength. It may not be enough to fool your Saiyan heritage, but it will give you a challenge at least. All right, I'll get on it, Kakarot said. Wait, Kami said. Kakarot turned to see Popo presenting him with a new fighting uniform to wear. What's this? He asked. This is what you'll wear for training from now on, Kami said. Kakarot picked up the fighting clothes. The green jumpsuit was nothing unusual. It was just like the one that Master Rashi had given him with the exception of the symbol on the back. In place of Rashi's symbol on the back, it had Kami's symbol. The big difference though was the undershirt, wristbands, and boots. Kakarot staggered when Popo handed them to him. They must weigh a ton, he thought. Chapter 18. Ah, smell that fresh air, Rashi said as he exited the car at the World Martial Arts Tournament. Much better than being cooped up on that plane. I agree, Master, Gohan said getting out of the car after the old turtle hermit. I can't wait to see Kakarot compete this year, he continued. I wish I would have made it to the last two tournaments. It's okay, Rashi said. I'm sure Kakarot knew you were rooting for him. I would have been had I known he had entered. News travels slow where I live. Well, maybe if you'd stay in touch more often you would not be 6 years out of date, Rashi scolded his one-time student. Boys, please, Bulma said getting out of the car behind them. If it wasn't one thing, it was another. It was either Rashi trying to grope her constantly or the two old men bickering among themselves. She desperately hoped to see Kakarot again, not only because of the longing in her heart, and her loins for that matter, but simply to have someone not old and perverted to talk to. She hoped that the young Saiyan hadn't forgotten about her. Dying and coming back to life had been hard enough. At the young age of 20, she didn't know if she could deal with being abandoned by her lover. Before she could worry too much more, however, a pair of hands over her eyes interrupted her thoughts. Guess who? A voice that sounded familiar and new at the same time said from behind her. The hands covering her eyes were strong and calloused. The arms attached to them were strong and muscular. Bulma knew instantly who was behind her. You're back, was all she managed to mutter before spinning around. To her surprise, instead of staring at the face of her lover, all she saw was a massive chest of a green GI with a black undershirt. She looked up, realizing her mistake. Kakarot now stood a full head taller than her. He had also only grown more handsome in the last 3 years. While he had been a boy the last time she'd seen him, he stood before her as a man now. Before she could say another word, Kakarot placed a finger on her trembling lips. I've missed you too, he said. I never stopped thinking about you while I was training with Kami. I wish I could have come back sooner, but... Now it was her turn to stop him. I understand, she said. Krillin told me you were called up to train with Cammy. I figured it must be important if the Guardian of Earth wanted to see you. Yes, very serious. Kakarot said, his tone deadly serious. His face softened into a smile again. But now that we're together again, there's something I must do. The young Saiyan dropped to one knee and pulled a box out of the pocket of his GI. Bulma, my love, when I lost you I didn't know if I could go on. My only thought was getting you back. I swear that I will never let anything happen to you again. I want to be with you always. Will you be my wife? Bulma's face portrayed the shock she felt, but quickly melted into a smile. She presented her hand forward and allowed Kakarot to place the ring on her finger. Of course I will, she said, pulling him to his feet and laying a deep kiss on her long-lost lover. Deep easy. Several minutes later, after the initial shock of the proposal had worn off, Kakarot and Bulma walked arm in arm up to the registration booth, followed closely by Rashi and Gohan. I'd like to sign up to compete, Kakarot told the attendant. Well, of course, sir, the attendant said. Can I have your name? Kakarot, the young Saiyan said. The returning champion, Kakarot? He asked. Yes, Kakarot replied. Of course, sir, the attendant said, looking sheepish. It's just that you're much taller than you were 3 years ago. Kakarot grinned. Quite all right. He turned to Rashi and Gohan. So you old-timers going to compete? No, Rashi said. I'm content just to watch. I didn't really stand much of a chance 3 years ago against you. I doubt I'd even be in the same league as you after your training with Cammy. Gohan nodded as well. I haven't seen you fight in years, my boy, but if you're as strong as Master Rashi says, I wouldn't stand a chance at all against you. I'll be content to watch as well. It's all right, boys, Bulma said. You can root for Kakarot from the front row with me. Where's Yamcha and Krillin? Kakarot asked, looking at Master Rashi. Weren't they training with you? They only stayed around long enough to gather the Dragon Balls and wish Bulma and all the fighters that Piccolo killed back to life. Then they went off with Tien and Chaozu to train on their own. It was just as well, there wasn't much more I could teach them anyway. They have also surpassed my teachings. As if summoned by the conversation, blurs swept by before coming to a sudden halt. In the space, empty a second ago, now stood Tien, Yamcha, Krillin, and Chaozu. Hey fellas, Yamcha said. Long time no see. Hey guys, Kakarot said, greeting his friends. You've definitely gotten taller, Yamcha said, looking at the man who had replaced the kid he'd known. And here I thought I'd be the tall one, Krillin said. Deep easy. The night passed quickly and uneventfully, as catching up with old friends does. Soon it was time for the preliminary rounds of the tournament. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer said, our attendance is much smaller than it was last year due to some unpleasantness after the last tournament. But I'm sure the caliber of fighters we have this year will make up for the dwindling numbers. Kakarot looked around the arena and surveyed the other fighters. He noticed several weak fighters milling around the room, but soon his attention focused on 2 fighters in the room. One was a tall green alien with pointy ears. He wore a turban and cape and had a permanent scowl on his face. He was the spitting image of King Piccolo. He had been filled in by Cammy about how the demon had made a spawn before being destroyed. He had also mentioned that he and the demon spawn were linked. If Piccolo Jr. was destroyed, then Cammy would also be destroyed. Kakarot didn't know how he was going to stop him and still keep the Guardian. A second later, Kakarot's attention was drawn to another fighter standing in the corner looking around. The fighter was a darker green than Piccolo and had the head of an alligator. He wore a simple black fighting uniform and stared at Kakarot with anticipation. We'll begin by drawing numbers, the announcer said. The fighters will face off in single elimination combat. The 2 winners from each bracket will advance to the finals. Chaozu, Tien whispered. Make sure none of us fight each other until the finals. All right, Tien, the little emperor said as he used his telepathic powers to fix the numbers in the box. Deep easy. The preliminary round had been fairly uneventful for the first several fights. Chaozu stepped into the ring to face his opponent for his 3rd fight of the preliminaries. His face fell when he saw his opponent. Standing across from him was none other than Mercenary Tao. The man looked like he was more machine than man, with replacement eyes, arms, and legs. So we meet again, traitor, Tao said. As soon as the bell rang, the assassin shot at Chaozu with lightning speed and struck the young fighter with unparalleled ferocity. The little emperor was down unmoving with the first blow. No, Chaozu, Tien shouted, seeing his friend go down. Don't worry, he's not dead, Tao said, walking down from the ring. I would be disqualified if he were to die, but rest assured, after I humiliate you in the tournament, I will finish all of you off. I'll get you for that, Tien swore. We'll see, Tao replied. I thought he was dead, Krillin commented. I thought so too, Kakarot said. Apparently, he's pretty durable. You think he's gotten stronger? Yamcha asked. I don't know, Kakarot said. I can't read him very much. Even the scouter couldn't get anything on him last time. It must be the mechanical parts interfering. Kakarot grimaced. He was starting to wish he hadn't left the scouter on the lookout. While he had learned to sense energy from Kami, it still wasn't perfected. He may be strong, Kakarot said, but I don't think he's the one to worry about in this tournament. Deep easy. The rest of the preliminary fights went by uneventful, and soon it was time to announce the fighters that were advancing to the finals. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer said, our matchups will be as follows. Tao versus Tien. Kakarot versus Chi-Chi. Junior versus Krillin. Yamcha versus Chomper. We're all looking forward to the matches. Chi-Chi, Yamcha said, looking at the tall brunette woman who had been announced to be going to the finals. As in the Ox King's daughter, Chi-Chi? That's right, the girl said, walking up to the fighters. I was wondering when you would recognize me. Well, you've grown a lot, Yamcha said. Chi-Chi blushed. Yes, I have, she said. And you've gotten more handsome too. It was Yamcha's turn to blush. He remembered when they had been looking for the Dragon Balls. Chi-Chi had had a crush on him, but she had only been a kid then. This definitely wasn't a kid standing before him today. You're welcome to join us and watch the fights, he said. While you're not fighting, that is. I'd like that, Chi-Chi said. Kakarot turned from the reunion and stared at the mysterious fighter that was now known as Chomper. He's strong, Tien said, staring at the fighter as well. Yes, he is, Kakarot said. Any idea who he is? Tien asked. Not really, Kakarot said. But he isn't friendly, and I think I know why he's here. Why's that? The Triclops asked. He's here for me, Kakarot said. Chapter 19. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer said. Today we have an exciting match for you. In one corner we have the brother of Master Shun of the Crane School, Mercenary Tao. Facing off against Tao is former student of the Crane Hermit, Tien. There seems to be some rivalry between these two. Which one will come out the winner today? Tao dusted off his clothes as he faced off in the ring against Tien. The Triclops had once been one of Crane Hermit's most promising students, but had betrayed the school in the last tournament when he had refused to kill Kakarot. Tao would now eliminate the traitor and take care of Kakarot himself. After his last encounter with the boy, it had been a rough road to recovery, but thanks to the miracle works of Dr. Gero, he had been put back together more powerful than ever and would finally have his revenge. Ready, fight, the announcer said. Tao shot at Tien, throwing a flurry of kicks and punches at the younger man, but Tien deftly blocked the blows before they could do much damage. Tien countered with a backhand at Tao's head, but the mercenary raised an arm and blocked the blow. Tien shot a knee up past Tao's defenses and into the mercenary's stomach. Tao doubled over, but before he could recover, Tien brought a double axe handle down on the killer's head, sending him crashing into the ring hard. It looks like Tien has the first blow of the fight, the announcer said. Will Tao recover, or is it all over? As the dust settled, Tao picked himself up off the ground and frowned. You have ripped my clothes, he said. Now you'll have to suffer even more. The warrior ripped his top off, leaving him shirtless, and took a fighting stance. Tien, not replying, shot at Tao and threw a flurry of kicks and punches at his one-time mentor. Tao managed to block or dodge the blows, but couldn't find an opening to counterattack. Tien was faster than he had expected. This was supposed to be easy and satisfying. I'm going to kill you, Tao yelled as his left robotic hand fell off and was replaced by a blade. There are no weapons allowed in the match, the announcer said. Mercenary Tao is disqualified. Tao, paying no attention to the announcer, continued to slash at Tien. It was all Tien could do to dodge the blows. I'm going to help him, Krillin said. No, Kakarot said. This is his fight. But the match is over, Krillin argued. Tao is trying to kill him. Trying is the key word, Kakarot said. Tien is handling himself just fine. Back in the ring, Tien was still dodging attacks from Tao's new sword. The assassin swung the sword at Tien again, but the blow passed through only afterimage. Tien appeared behind Tao and drove a leg into his side, sending Tao flying across the ring. Before Tao could recover, Tien was in front of him, gripping the blade in one hand. After a moment of concentration, the blade was snapped and Tao was disarmed. "Give up now," Tien said. "You can't win." "That's what you think," Tao said, allowing his other hand to drop to the ground and being replaced by a cannon. "You won't survive the Super Dodon Wave." "We'll see," Tien replied. "Super Dodon Wave," Tao shouted, firing the blast at Tien. "Dodon Wave," Tien shouted, firing his own beam to match Tao's. The two beams hit and pushed against each other, almost dead even. Slowly, Tien's beam started to overcome Tao's Super Dodon Wave. The combined power of both beams flew back and hit Tao head-on in a huge explosion. Tien didn't wait for the smoke to clear and charged in, pummeling Tao with blow after blow. By the time the smoke cleared, Tao lay unconscious at Tien's feet. The Triclops picked up the unconscious warrior and walked over to where Crane Hermit stood in the stands. Handing the unconscious warrior to his old master, Tien said, "I don't want to see you two ever again." "You'll pay for this," Shin said as he flew off. "Deep easy." "Ladies and gentlemen," the announcer said, "our last match ended rather badly, but luckily Tien, being the accomplished fighter that he has, managed to disarm the situation. Now we have the returning champion, Kakarot, facing off against the newcomer, Chi-Chi." Kakarot took a fighting stance across from Chi-Chi. He wasn't really worried about this match. He knew that the girl was no match for him in combat, but he wanted to let her down gently without being too rough on her. "You may begin," the announcer said. Chi-Chi charged at Kakarot, throwing punches at the young Saiyan. Kakarot moved his head from side to side, dodging all of the blows with practiced ease. He almost felt sorry for the girl. She was so determined to do well in this tournament, but so outclassed at the same time. Chomper watched as Kakarot dodged the blows from the pathetically weak female. His instincts had paid off. Kakarot was definitely the Saiyan he was looking for. The tail wrapped around his waist was a dead giveaway, that and the obviously Saiyan name. For a race that was wanted by Lord Frisia, this Kakarot didn't seem to be hiding his identity very well. Other than being on this backwater planet, that is. He reached into his pocket and took the scouter out and affixed it to his eye. "Let's see how strong this Scion actually is," he thought. 200, he read off of the scouter. "This will be easier than I thought." The bounty on Scions was as good as his. This little tournament made it almost too easy. All he had to do was knock out the Scion and take him back to Lord Frisia in chains. Back in the ring, Chi-Chi continued to throw punches and kicks at Kakarot to no avail. The Scion quickly dodged the blows without so much as breaking a sweat. Finally, Chi-Chi stopped panting. "How can I not hit you?" she gasped. "It's simple," Kakarot said. "I'm much faster than you." With that, he phased out of sight and appeared behind the young female warrior and grabbed her from behind. Moving quickly, he dashed to the edge of the ring, where he let go of her, sending her to land softly on the grass. "Well, ladies and gentlemen," the announcer said, "Chi-Chi has been thrown out of the ring by Kakarot. Let's all give her a round of applause for even having the courage to go up against the two-time champion of the world." "Deep easy. Are you ready for the next fight?" the announcer said a short while later. On one side of the ring, we have the accomplished fighter Krillin. Facing off against Krillin is the newcomer Junior. Both have shown themselves to be incredible fighters in the preliminary rounds. Kakarot stared at Piccolo as the spawn of the Demon King faced off against his friend. As far as he could tell, Krillin should be able to hold his own against the fighter, but it was hard to tell sometimes. He didn't know what surprises the alien warrior might have up his sleeve, though he also didn't know what tricks Krillin might have come up with over the last few years. "Ready, fight," the announcer said. Krillin charged at Junior with a flurry of kicks and punches at the green fighter. Junior blocked the blows with relative ease and threw some punches of his own, which Krillin blocked. Seconds later, the two fighters separated and once again stared each other down. "Not bad," Krillin said with a grin. "This will be a pretty good fight, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to start going all out." "Fine," Junior said. "I won't hold back either. Hope you're ready for this." The two fighters once again charged at each other, and traded blows faster than before. Krillin disappeared from sight, leaving Junior's fist to pass through only after image. The bald warrior appeared behind Junior and brought a knee into the warrior's back, sending him flying. Krillin didn't let up for a second and shot at the demon, pummeling him with blow after blow. Junior winced as Krillin pummeled him mercilessly. Finally, he shot up into the air out of range of the human's attacks. Krillin shot up into the air after him and renewed his attack, but the small break was all that Junior had needed to renew his defense and block the blows the bald man threw at him. The two separated a short distance and floated above the ring, still facing off against each other. Junior broke the lapse by stretching an arm out for a punch from 10 feet away. Krillin barely dodged the unexpected attack and shot back at Junior, eliminating the distance advantage the demon had by bringing the fight back to close quarters. Krillin pummeled Junior with a flurry of kicks and punches, pressing the slight advantage he had. The young monk landed a hard right cross to Junior's face, sending the green warrior reeling back. Krillin cupped his hands at his side. "I'm going to end this," he said. "K.A. me. H.A. me. H.A." he shouted, sending the beam of blue energy at the Namekian warrior. Junior raised his hands and caught the blast as it exploded against his hands. When the smoke cleared, Junior's clothes were slightly tattered but otherwise unhurt. The demon laughed. "Is that the best you've got?" he asked. "That's rich from a guy that's getting beat up," Krillin replied. "All right," Junior said. "I'm through playing around." The demon reached up and pulled his cape off and sent it flying, where it landed with a hard thud in the grass. "He's been doing all that while wearing weights," Yamcha said in disbelief. "It appears so," Kakarot commented. "It is a good way to train after all." "Something's bothering me about Junior," Tien said, joining the conversation. "He looks like he might be one of Piccolo's minions." "He's not a minion," Kakarot said. "He's the reincarnation of King Piccolo himself." "What?" Tien and Yamcha both said in disbelief. "From what I was told," Kakarot said, "when I defeated King Piccolo, he put all of his energy into transferring his essence into an egg. That egg hatched and became Junior. So we have to stop him," Tien said. "There's a problem with that," Kakarot replied. "If Junior is destroyed, then Kami will be destroyed as well." "Then what do we do?" Yamcha asked. "Well," Kakarot said, "Piccolo is here for a reason. He sees me as a threat and wants to eliminate me before he can rule the world. Once he sees that he can't win, hopefully he'll give up on his world domination. Besides, it's not Piccolo I'm really worried about." "You're not worried about Piccolo?" Yamcha said in disbelief. "Not really," Kakarot said. "I can easily beat him without breaking a sweat if he makes it to the finals." "That's right, he'll have to face me before that," Yamcha boasted. "No," Kakarot responded. "While you might stand a chance against Piccolo, but I don't think you'll make it that far. Chomper is incredibly strong." Back in the ring, Junior charged at Krillin with renewed speed and strength. Before reaching the short warrior, Junior shot out an arm, stretching it to grab Krillin from 10 feet away. He pulled hard and brought Krillin's face down into his knee hard. Krillin reeled from the blow but recovered quickly and sent a fist of his own around into Junior's abdomen. Junior blocked the blow, catching Krillin's fist with a big green hand. Krillin countered with a kick to the demon's stomach, doubling the green warrior over. Before Junior could recover, Krillin drove an elbow into the Namekian's neck, sending him to land hard in the ring. Piccolo shot up from where he landed and drove a foot into Krillin's face hard, sending the young warrior flying across the ring. Junior gathered some energy and shot a beam to follow the young warrior, exploding against him in midair. Krillin flew from the dust cloud, still flying out of control, where he hit the wall and slid down into the grass out of the ring. "It appears that Junior is the winner," the announcer said. "He will move on to the next round. Next up we have Yamcha and Chomper. Can we have both contestants report to the ring?" Kakarot grabbed Yamcha by the shoulder. "Be careful," he told his friend. "Sure," Yamcha said with a half grin. "I can handle myself." A few minutes later, Yamcha stood across from Chomper as the next match was set to begin. "Ladies and gentlemen," the announcer said, "in one corner we have Yamcha, a seasoned fighter, and in the other we have Chomper, a newcomer. Which one of these fighters will come out the winner?" Chomper stared at Yamcha. "Show me what you've got," he said. "I'll try not to hurt you too bad." "You talk pretty big," Yamcha said, taking a fighting stance himself. Well, when you can back it up, you're allowed to talk big, Chomper said. You may begin, the announcer said. Yamcha shot at Chomper, throwing a flurry of kicks and punches at the crocodile. I'll show you a thing or two, he said. I'm sure you will, Chomper said as he dodged every one of Yamcha's attacks. Now show me what you've got. Junior grimaced as he saw the two fighters go at it. Or more correctly, as he saw Chomper playing with Yamcha. I'll have to watch that one, he thought. He may be a threat. A few minutes later, Yamcha stood panting from exertion. How come I can't hit you, he panted. You're weak, Chomper answered honestly. It seems to be a common trait with your species. I'll show you weak, Yamcha said. He turned his hand face up and concentrated. In seconds, a small ball of energy formed and floated above his hands. The long-haired warrior threw the ball at Chomper. It tracked almost perfectly, but the crocodile moved so fast that it flew past him and toward the crowd in the background. Yamcha quickly used 2 fingers and directed the attack, causing it to change course in midair and head back at Chomper once again. The warrior didn't move this time, and instead backhanded the attack, sending it flying toward Yamcha at blinding speed. The attack hit the warrior and sent him flying back, where he landed hard in the ring. Yamcha got to his feet, bruised and battered from his own attack. Chomper laughed. Are you done yet, weakling? I'll show you weak, Yamcha said, once again charging at Chomper. This time the bounty hunter was in no mood to play. With a single backhand, he sent Yamcha flying into the wall, where he hit hard and skidded down to lay in the grass. Well, the announcer said, it appears that Chomper has defeated Yamcha in an amazing match. He will face off against Junior in the semifinals after Kakarot faces off against Tien. Chapter 20. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer said into his microphone, we have the rematch of the century for you here today. Kakarot and Tien went toe-to-toe in the finals of the last tournament, and now we have them facing off against each other again today. Which one of these amazing fighters will be victorious today? Tien faced Kakarot in the ring. Are you ready for this? He asked the Saiyan. Ready when you are, Kakarot replied. Chomper watched the fight in anticipation. He hit his scouter. The Saiyan is at 200 and his opponent is at 400, he thought. Maybe this Tien would knock out his prize for him, and he wouldn't even have to fight the Saiyan after all. He was fine with toting away his prize to Lord Frieza the easy way. As long as he brought a Saiyan back alive, the bounty was the same. Chomper laughed to himself. It didn't really matter whether this Tien knocked out the Saiyan for him or if he had to do it himself. It's not like it would be a challenge anyhow. The crocodile-like fighter laughed and went to get a refreshment. He hardly needed to watch this fight after all. He already knew who would win. The little Saiyan didn't stand a chance. You may begin, the announcer said. With those words spoken, Tien shot at Kakarot, throwing a flurry of kicks and punches at the young Saiyan, testing his defenses. To his surprise, Kakarot moved out of the way of them all with the same ease as when he'd fought Chi-Chi. How's he so fast? Tien thought. He had worked so hard the past 3 years to improve his speed in hopes of having that as an advantage over the young Saiyan, but it appeared it had all been in vain. Tien redoubled his efforts, sending the blows with more ferocity than before, but he couldn't lay a finger on the young Saiyan. Is that all you've got? Kakarot said as he dodged a fist and jumped over a kick, flipping easily out of Tien's reach. Tien considered his options for a second. He could use the multiform technique, but he had tried that in the last tournament, and Kakarot had easily countered it and shown that it had the weakness of dividing his power equally among the clones. Tien dismissed that idea almost instantly. It hadn't worked before, and it certainly wouldn't work this time. He briefly considered using the tri-beam cannon, but he doubted that he could hit Kakarot with it with the boy's newfound speed. In fact, he couldn't think of anything that would be effective against the boy, but he had to try something. Tien phased out of sight, leaving on and after image behind, moving with all the speed he could muster, hoping he could avoid detection by the younger fighter. The Triclops reappeared behind Kakarot with a kick aimed right at the Saiyan's head, but it passed only though air. Nice try, Kakarot said from behind Tien. But I grow tired of this. The young Saiyan shot a fist out just as Tien began to turn with an attack of his own. The fist landed true in Tien's stomach, doubling the Triclops over and sending him to his knees and then to the ground. It appears that Kakarot has knocked Tien out with a single punch, the announcer said. We'll start the count. 1, 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Kakarot is the winner. Chomper returned with a corn dog and a drink just in time to see the young Saiyan boy walking down from the ring while his opponent lay unconscious in the ring. What? How'd he win that fight? It should have been a slaughter for his opponent. Across the stadium, a junior watched the fight as well. He, however, wasn't surprised with the outcome of the fight, but rather with the quickness of his rival. The boy had moved faster than even he could follow at times. He seriously doubted that even he could touch the young man in combat. How had he gotten so strong? After King Piccolo had been defeated, Junior had trained almost nonstop to be stronger than this boy would be. He had wanted his revenge and to rule the planet, but he was starting to have his doubts on whether it would actually happen. He may have to bide his time and redouble his efforts to get stronger than the boy. Deep easy. Kakarot sat in the stands next to his wife-to-be and relaxed as he waited for the next fight. He was interested to see what both Chomper and Piccolo could do, but he figured he could watch from here as well as anywhere. Bulma squeezed his hand beside him and smiled at him. His heart melted at seeing her smile at him like that after 3 years of not seeing her. He had thought it would be awkward, but they had connected again almost instantly. So who do you think is going to win this one? Bulma asked, interrupting his pleasant thoughts and putting his mind back on the fight that was about to start. Chomper is by far more powerful, Kakarot replied. I don't think Piccolo stands a chance. Piccolo? Rashi asked from behind him. Junior is the reincarnation of King Piccolo, Kakarot said. He's here for revenge and wants to rule the planet. Not again, Rashi said. We have to stop him. No, Kakarot said. He wants to test the waters first. He won't try anything unless he's sure he's the strongest. No need to worry then, right? Bulma said, squeezing one of Kakarot's biceps. You can beat him, can't you? I won't have to. Kakarot said, finally answering her first question. Chomper won't let him get to the finals. Before the Saiyan could elaborate, the announcer spoke. Ladies and gentlemen, in the last fight of the semifinals, we have Junior versus Chomper. One of these amazing fighters will go on to face Kakarot for the title in the finals. Junior took a defensive stance as he faced off against Chomper. He could tell this fighter was no one to trifle with, and he wanted to be on his guard. Ready, begin, the announcer said. Junior shot at Chomper, forming a ball of energy in each hand. As he drew near, he sent one and then the other at the fighter at point-blank range. The attacks flew true to the target and exploded against the fighter. When the dust settled, Chomper stood unharmed by the attacks and laughed. Is that all you've got? The crocodile shot at Junior so fast that the demon couldn't even follow his movements. A split second later, he appeared in front of Junior with his snout in the demon's face. What makes you think you can take me on? He asked. Junior swung a fist at his opponent, but it was caught easily. Chomper squeezed the fist, causing a crunching sound. The crocodile shoved his opponent to the ground and laughed. You're pathetic. Junior fumed. He wanted so badly to teach this guy a lesson, but he couldn't touch the guy. He had sent 2 beams of energy at him that would have vaporized most of his opponents, but it hadn't done a thing to him. Before he could attack, Chomper's elbow was in his face, sending him flying back into the wall, where he landed with a thud and slid into the grass. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the announcer said. Chomper is the winner by ring out. He will face off against Kakarot in the finals. In the stands, Kakarot pulled his undershirt over his head and dropped it on the ground with a thud. Soon his boots and wristbands followed. This weighs a ton, Bulma said, trying to lift the shirt. Yeah, Kakarot said. It was good for training, but I have a feeling I'm going to need to be at my best for the next fight. Power levels. Kakarot. 200, suppressed with weighted clothing. 1800, with weights not suppressed. 2200, without weights. Tien. 400. Piccolo Jr. 440, after removing his weighted cape. Chomper. 2500.